Chapter 158, The Demon and the Good Person, Subscription Request. Perhaps most disciples of the Tianjian sect don't realize what Tianjian's emergence from seclusion truly signifies. But the vice sect leaders and elders of the Tianjian sect are well aware that Tianjian's emergence may very well be the step taken, surpassing the 9th realm, becoming one of the rare 10th realm powerhouses that only appear once every tens of thousands of years. Sect leader, some elder of the Tianjian sect, looking at Tianjian's figure, had reddened eyes. In this generation of the Tianjian sect, at last, another 10th realm was born. With Tianjian's emergence from seclusion, strands of an aura superior to that of the 9th realm spread and permeated the area. Within the Tianjian sect, those powerhouses who came overdue to Xiahou Yuan's issue changed their expressions abruptly. More than 10 figures soared into the sky, looking incredulously at Tianjian with his hands behind his back. Tianjian Ziyu? These more than 10 figures were naturally 9th realm powerhouses. They had gathered here precisely to wait for Tianjian's response. Tianjian, have you taken that step? An elderly 9th realm powerhouse's voice trembled, unable to refrain from asking. As a 9th realm powerhouse, he naturally could sense that Tianjian's aura had completely transcended the 9th realm. It wasn't just a half step out, and it wasn't just infinitely close. It was a full transcendence. If the 9th realm powerhouses were akin to the moon high up in the sky, looking down at the mortal world, then now Tianjian was like the vast starry heavens, where even the great moon was just a corner in the stars. Indeed. Tianjian nodded slightly, his expression arrogantly proud. We have seen the sect leader of the Tianjian sect. More than 10 9th realm powerhouses from various major forces took a deep breath and bowed in unison. Since ancient times, there have indeed been beings who surpassed the 9th realm and reached the 10th realm. But over tens of thousands of years, such characters can be counted with one hand, and each one is a legend that has dominated an era. And now, in their era, will another such heaven-defying existence appear? The more than 10 9th realm powerhouses looked at each other, with mixed feelings in their hearts. The good news was that since Tianjian had taken that step forward, Xiahou Yuan naturally posed no threat. The concern was that now that Tianjian's strength had truly reached the invincible stage, could the major forces of the 5 domains still maintain an equal status with the Tianjian sect? The more than 10 9th realm powerhouses, along with the cultivators gathered at the Tianjian sect, paid their respects to Tianjian, the newly advanced 10th realm powerhouse. Then they asked how to deal with Xiahou Yuan. Now that I have entered the 10th realm, Xiahou Yuan poses no threat, Tianjian said with a calm smile and continued. However, Xiahou Yuan is cunning and insidious. If we actively search for him, we might startle the grass and scare the snake. With these words, everyone present nodded in agreement. Indeed, the guy is not a fool. If the forces of the righteous sects attacked proactively, revealing their full confidence, it would undoubtedly scare Xiahou Yuan away. Then Xiahou Yuan might check the reason behind it, and upon learning that Tianjian had broken through to the 10th realm, it would be even less likely for him to present himself willingly. Therefore, in this breakthrough, I used a secret technique to meticulously conceal my aura and prevent the phenomenon of my breakthrough from spreading outside the Tianjian sect. This means that, as of now, only you here are aware that I have stepped into the 10th realm. Tianjian said this, paused for a moment, then continued. To ensure this matter remains a secret, everyone should stay here for the next period of time. In the past, I suppressed Xiahou Yuan, and we developed an enmity as deep as life and death. As soon as he recovers his strength, he will certainly rush over to take his revenge. We only need to wait for him to come to us. Tianjian's expression was one of assured victory. Masterful strategy, sect leader. The others present suddenly understood. With Xiahou Yuan's strength, if he truly wanted to hide, even a 10th realm powerhouse might not be able to find him. The 5 domains mainland is vast and boundless. If Xiahou Yuan were to nestle in some corner, how could a 10th realm powerhouse search for him? But leveraging the enmity between Xiahou Yuan and Tianjian, coupled with concealing the information, enticing Xiahou Yuan to come on his own was indeed the best strategy. By then, even if Xiahou Yuan recovers to his peak, he would still be just a 9th realm in the face of a 10th realm Tianjianzi, and he probably wouldn't have a chance to struggle. The so-called soul out-of-body parasitism skill, which poses a threat to 9th realm powerhouses, stands no chance before a 10th realm powerhouse. A single strike could shatter the physical body and primordial spirit to dust. Time passed. Years went by in the blink of an eye. In the underground palace, Moyang Demon Lord and the other 8 demon lords were guarding outside the Vitality Spring to avoid any mishaps while Lin Yuan was in seclusion. I wonder how the revered one is doing in his seclusion? Moyang Demon Lord was somewhat curious. Over these years, he had a clear sense that the concentration of heavenly earth vital energy around him was decreasing at a terrifying rate. The cause was obvious. It was Lin Yuan who was absorbing the Vitality Spring. But the more it was the case, the more unbelievable it was to Moyang Demon Lord because a medium-sized Vitality Spring isn't something common. The daily heavenly earth vital energy emitted by a medium-sized Vitality Spring alone would suffice the daily cultivation needs of several 9th realm experts, and the rapid decline of primordial chi concentration around them clearly indicated that the Vitality Spring was being voraciously depleted. If it were Moyang Demon Lord, attempting to absorb such a high degree of primordial chi from the Vitality Spring in such a short period would probably cause his body to burst from the massive primordial chi influx. There's definitely nothing wrong with the revered one. Nuan Shu glanced at Moyang Demon Lord. She placed almost worshipful trust in Lin Yuan. Seeing Moyang Demon Lord mumbling like that, she thought he was harboring some ill intentions again. The heavens can bear witness that I, Moyang, have no second thoughts towards the revered one, Moyang Demon Lord quickly said, although Nuan Shu's cultivation was not nearly as high as his. Chapter 159 The Demon and the Good Person, subscription request, _2 But he could not withstand the other party's high standing in the Lord's heart, especially over the past 20+ years, while other demons hesitated. Only Nuan and Sidu wholeheartedly devoted themselves to the Lord. In comparison, setting aside demons like Moyang Demon Lord for a moment, the importance of Nuan Shu must have grown significantly in the Lord's heart. If Nuan Shu were to speak ill of him in the Lord's ear, Moyang Demon Lord would really struggle to bear it. At this moment, Moyang Demon Lord was feeling some regret. Had he known the Lord would emerge from the great abyss, he would definitely have been the first to rescue him. Hope so. Nuan Shu coldly snorted again, not pursuing the matter further. Just then, a vast aura surged out from the space where the Vitality Spring was located, filling the entire underground palace. In front of this aura, even a strong 9th realm limit cultivator like Moyang Demon Lord had to keep retreating, somewhat unable to withstand it. Lord, has the Lord broken through to the 10th realm? Moyang Demon Lord was shocked. He had already suspected as much when the Vitality Spring was being heavily consumed. Other than striking at the legendary 10th realm, who else would consume the Vitality Spring like this? For a cultivator, heavenly earth vital energy is like food. And consuming too much food can burst one's stomach. Only breakthroughs in cultivation will consume massive amounts of heavenly earth vital energy to replenish oneself. The 10th realm. The other 8 demon lords exchanged looks. Since ancient times, the limit for demonic Tao practitioners has been the 9th realm. No demon had ever reached the 10th realm. 25 years ago, if Lin Yuan had broken through to the 10th realm, there would have been no business for Tianjian sect. The entire 5 domains mainland would have become the domain of the demonic Tao. While Moyang Demon Lord and the others were lost in thought, a tall figure emerged from the space where the Vitality Spring was located. Lin Yuan appeared, his expression calm, strolling out as if an ordinary person, devoid of any detectable aura. Yet Moyang Demon Lord and the other demons grew even more respectful, recognizing this as the realm of returning to the primordial state. Lord. Moyang Demon Lord followed behind Lin Yuan, towards the hall of the underground palace. Moyang Demon Lord started reporting on recent events as expected. Once finished, Moyang Demon Lord could not help asking, Lord, have you stepped into the 10th realm? As soon as he said these words, everyone perked up their ears. This was about the 10th realm. a domain that all demons from ages past had never entered. Even in the 5 domains mainland, there have been very few 10th realm powerhouses for tens of thousands of years, not exceeding 5 individuals. The 10th realm. Lin Yuan looked down at everyone and shook his head slightly. I am not in the 10th realm. Lin Yuan was indeed not in the 10th realm. He was at the 5th rank, known as a continent-sinking 5th rank evolver in the main world. As for this world's 10th realm, strictly speaking, it is merely comparable to the transition stage between the 4th and 5th rank. If there must be a comparison, then at least the 11th realm would be equivalent to the 5th rank. 5th rank, Lin Yuan felt the immense power within him. It was a terrifying force capable of breaking continental plates and bringing an apocalyptic end to life on a planet. In the main world, a 5th rank evolver is revered as the strongest being on the surface, and the battle between 2 5th rank evolvers could lead to billions of deaths on a planet. Some powerful 5th rank evolvers could even turn a life planet into a dead star, where life would no longer emerge for tens of thousands of years. Just this world, Lin Yuan fell into thought. The world he was in now was far vaster than a middle-grade life planet in the main world, almost comparable to a higher-grade life planet. Its continental framework was vast and robust. Only at the 5th stage peak could one have the assurance to break through. Take it slow. It's only been 30 years. There's still 170 years left. Lin Yuan was not in a rush. He still had plenty of time before he would leave this world. Not the 10th realm? Moyang Demon Lord was somewhat baffled. Just by the immense aura Lin Yuan emitted during his cultivation, how could he still be in the 9th realm? It should be noted that Moyang Demon Lord himself was at the peak of the 9th realm, yet even so, he could not endure the aura that Lin Yuan had just released. How could this still be the 9th realm? Moyang could not understand. But Lin Yuan had no reason to deceive him. Since he said he was not in the 10th realm, then he certainly was not in the 10th realm. Could it be a half step into the 10th realm? Moyang Demon Lord could only guess as much. Just a half step into the 10th realm, at most stronger than him. It couldn't possibly reach the point of absolute suppression, could it? I don't care anymore. Whether the Demon Lord emerged at the 9th realm or the 10th realm, there's no difference to me. Moyang Demon Lord simply stopped overthinking it. Time passed. Half a year went by. One day, Lin Yuan was cultivating. Nuan Shu hurriedly walked in, stopped behind Lin Yuan, and whispered, "My lord, someone is looking for you." "Looking for me?" Lin Yuan opened his eyes. Nuan Shu also seemed to find this person surprising, even inconceivable. It's the Supreme Elder of Zhigu sect. Nuan Shu hesitated for a moment, then whispered, "Zhigu sect?" Lin Yuan fell into thought. Zhigu sect was a force in the eastern region, second only to Tianjian sect, a colossal figure renowned across the 5 domains. Each generation of Zhigu sect had 9th realm powerhouses in charge, with a profound foundation. 25 years ago, during the great battle between good and evil, Zhigu sect also contributed to the suppression of Xiahou Yuan. And the Supreme Elder of Zhigu sect, although only possessing 8th realm strength, held a high position within Zhigu sect, with even the contemporary 9th realm sect master being his disciple. What did he come for? Lin Yuan's expression grew contemplative. He claims to have crucial intelligence that he will share only with the Demon Lord. However, I think there's something off about this old man. It's very likely a ploy. My lord should not trust him. Nuan Shu spoke softly. "Let him in," Lin Yuan casually remarked. According to Nuan Shu, the Supreme Elder of Zhigu sect voluntarily blocked his own meridians to meet him. Otherwise, an 8th realm powerhouse wouldn't just see Lin Yuan, he wouldn't even have been able to come to the entrance of the underground palace. If Nuan Shu hadn't confirmed that the Supreme Elder of Zhigu sect posed no threat, she would not have brought him over. A moment later, an old man with white hair and beard entered the great hall. On either side, 9 demon lords cast sideways glances, while a towering figure above on the high podium looked down upon him. "I pay my respects to the Demon Lord." The old man's face remained calm as he slightly bowed to Lin Yuan. "Interesting." A smile appeared on Lin Yuan's face. A righteous sect's supreme elder coming to see a demon like me and even bowing? From a status perspective, the supreme elder of Zhigu sect, upon encountering Xiahou Yuan, wouldn't have restrained himself from attacking right there and then. Bowing? It was nothing short of fantastical. People are ignorant only knowing that demons thrive in chaos, but you, demon lord, are different from the others. The white-haired supreme elder of Zhigu sect confidently began to speak. Is that so? Lin Yuan slightly shook his head. I have lived for 400 to 500 years and have seen what the 5 domains were like before the demon lord's emergence. The white-haired supreme elder of Zhigu sect paused for effect, then added solemnly, 280 years ago, the demon lord appeared out of nowhere. And before the emergence of the demon lord, the demons of the world held no fear. Old man, what nonsense are you spouting? Moyang demon lord's eyelid twitched. What the supreme elder of Zhigu sect said was true. Before Xiahou Yuan's demonic power fully grew, demons rampaged across the 5 domains, often resulting in the slaughter of entire cities and villages. What exactly are you trying to say? Sitting on the main seat, Lin Yuan asked calmly. I want to tell the demon lord that the current Tianjian sect has become a battleground of dragons and tigers, and even if you desire revenge, you should not risk your life by going there. The supreme elder of Zhigu sect said gravely. Upon hearing this, the demon lords on both sides were instantly surprised. What had happened? Was this supreme elder from Zhigu sect here to deliver a message to the demon lord? Actually, 25 years ago, when Tianjianzi wanted to battle the demon lord, I advised my disciple against it, but it was futile. Chapter 160, Radiant Yang Spirit and Wandering Yin Spirit. Please subscribe. Good person. In both sides of the main hall, Moyang Demon Lord and a host of other demon lords couldn't help but look at each other in disbelief. For demon chiefs like them, Xiahou Yuan was certainly no good person. Before the great war between the righteous and the demonic Tao 30 years ago, why did countless demon chiefs obediently follow orders without revolting under Xiahou Yuan's rule over the 5-domain demonic path? Because those who did not obey were all killed by Xiahou Yuan. The supreme elder of Zhigu sect was right in saying one thing. Xiahou Yuan indeed had his hands stained with blood. But most of that blood belonged to these very demon chiefs. Only then did it belong to those powerful figures in the righteous factions. 3 years ago, my disciple went to the Tianjian sect with other sects' powerhouses and has not returned since, and the life fire left at our sect shows no signs of activity. The current Tianjian sect must have gathered more than 70% of the 5 domains powerhouses, and that Tianjianzi must already have at least half a foot into the 10th realm. If the demon lord is still planning to seek revenge against that Tianjianzi, think carefully. The supreme elder of Zhigu sect continued. He did not know that Tianjianzi had already become a strong figure of the 10th realm and was now in the Tianjian sect, waiting like a spider for its prey, waiting for Xiahou Yuan to come seeking revenge. It was only because of his sharp intuition and the lack of any news from his disciple for such a long time that he felt something was amiss. He speculated that Tianjian sect might have set a trap, waiting for Xiahou Yuan to arrive. 30 years ago, he did not stop his disciple, leading to the great war between righteous and demonic forces, with Xiahou Yuan being suppressed and the demon chiefs of the 5 domains losing their shackles, allowing the myriad demons in the world to act without inhibition once again. This time, the supreme elder of Zhigu sect felt he should do something. At the very least, Xiahou Yuan must not be suppressed again. The thoughts of the supreme elder of Zhigu sect towards Xiahou Yuan, the legendary demon chief, were exceedingly complex. Coming over alone to tell Xiahou Yuan these things was undoubtedly a betrayal of Zhigu sect and a betrayal of the righteous forces. But as long as the situation for the beings of the 5 domains improved slightly, bearing a bit of infamy didn't matter. Are you finished? Lin Yuan's expression was calm. I'm finished, the supreme elder of Zhigu sect said candidly. Take him away and keep him confined. Lin Yuan waved his hand, signaling to Nuanshu. Yes. Nuanshu nodded. Immediately, he led the supreme elder of Zhigu sect away. What do you all think? Lin Yuan looked around at the various demon lords. Lord, what this old man said makes some sense, Moyang Demon Lord said after pondering for a moment, aware from the intelligence he held that years ago, a large number of powerhouses from the 5 domains had indeed gone to Tianjin sect. As for their purpose, it could mostly be guessed that it was due to Xiahou Yuan breaking free from his shackles. Nevertheless, being merely a demon chief, Moyang Demon Lord certainly didn't understand the righteous forces like Tianjin sect better than the supreme elder of Zhigu sect. In that case, do not send anyone near Tianjin sect for the time being, Lin Yuan said. Actually, even if the supreme elder of Zhigu sect had not come to warn him, Lin Yuan would never foolishly rush to Tianjin sect seeking revenge. Xiahou Yuan might have done such a thing, but Lin Yuan was not Xiahou Yuan. Lin Yuan anticipated that Tianjin Zi had already reached the 10th realm, and being in his own territory within the Tianjin mountain sect, he could manipulate the preparation left by ancestors, which fully qualified him to be regarded as a peak 10th realm or simply an 11th realm powerhouse. Lin Yuan wouldn't consider revenge until he cultivated to the 13th realm. And the 13th realm probably corresponds to the 5th rank, between the 4th and 6th stages. Underground Palace. In front of the Vitality Spring, Lin Yuan sat cross-legged. Compared to years ago when it was a medium-sized, premier Vitality Spring gushing out with a volume of several meters in diameter, the current Vitality Spring had shrunk several times and was merely half a meter in diameter. In truth, if the Vitality Spring were not connected to the Earth's veins and constantly drawing in primordial qi from hundreds of thousands of miles of Earth veins, it probably would have dried up. It's fine, Lin Yuan glanced at the Vitality Spring. After breaking through to the 5th rank, his need for heavenly Earth vital energy had significantly decreased. Now, this evidently regressed small Vitality Spring was still sufficient for him. 5th rank. Lin Yuan's consciousness submerged into the Naiwen Palace at the center of his forehead. There he saw a phantom figure sitting cross-legged at the center of a galaxy made of vast amounts of power of Taiyin and Taiyang. This phantom figure, identical to Lin Yuan, sat in the center of the galaxy, resembling an ancient deity. Primordial Spirit. At that moment, the phantom figure suddenly opened its eyes, deep in thought. The phantom was Lin Yuan's primordial spirit, condensed from a tremendous amount of soul power. Of course, primordial spirit was the term used in this world. In the main world, they would call this phantom figure a spiritual body, soul body, and so on. The primordial spirit, being condensed from the essence and spirit of the soul, lacked material form, which is why it was terrifyingly fast when wandering outside the body. However, without the protection of the physical body, the primordial spirit was much more vulnerable. There are still flaws. Lin Yuan's primordial spirit carefully sensed its own condition. He had based his path on the way of Taiji, but at this point, the way of Taiji within his divine body was not very conspicuous. Or rather, the power of Taiyin and power of Taiyang had completely fused into one and could no longer be separated, which Lin Yuan found somewhat unsatisfactory. The martial path evolutionary path he pursued allowed control over gathering and dispersing at will, so how could there be a way that only allowed gathering and not dispersing? Continue to refine it. Lin Yuan was not discouraged and focused on cultivation. For pioneers like Lin Yuan, every step taken was into the unknown, requiring continual development and perfection. If he was not satisfied with the primordial spirit, then he would continue to focus on the primordial spirit. If not satisfied with the physical body, then focus on perfecting the physical body. Where there was dissatisfaction, there lay the focus of his attention. Chapter 161. Radiant Yang Spirit and Wandering Yin Spirit. Please subscribe. Time passed. Another 5 years went by. With the way of Taiji as its foundation, the way of Xian Huang as its framework, and countless evolution paths as its flesh, Taiji primordial spirit emerge. Within the Naiwen Palace at Lin Yuan's Glabella, an endless galaxy composed of Taiyin and Taiyang energies, the primordial spirit sat in the center, suddenly transforming into 2 distinct colors of yin and yang. Immediately after, the primordial spirit separated into 2 figures. One figure was shrouded in the yin energy of Taiyin, its face indistinct. The other figure was enveloped in the bright energy of Taiyang, its eyes radiant. This is the primordial spirit I desired. The two primordial spirits gazed at each other. In fact, these two figures, rather than being called primordial spirits, would be more appropriate to term as Yin God and Yang Spirit. To be precise, when divided, they are the Yin God and Yang Spirit. When combined, they are the Taiji primordial spirit. Ngud. Yang Spirit. In the outside world, Lin Yuan opened his eyes. With a mere thought, the Yin God and Yang Spirit separated from the body. They sat opposite Lin Yuan's original form. Does this count as triumph division of the One Qi? Lin Yuan's consciousness split into three, looking at the three versions of himself, a strange expression on his face. Since they all shared the same consciousness, Lin Yuan felt as though had opened three perspectives at this moment. No matter if it's the Yin God or the Yang Spirit, since they are made from the power of the soul and aren't restricted by a physical body, they naturally can change their size at will, Lin Yuan thought to himself. Lin Yuan speculated, with the current strength of his Yin God and Yang Spirit. If he were to let go completely, they could probably reach a size of 10,000 zhang. Yin God of 10,000 zhang. Yang Spirit of 10,000 zhang. At the underground palace hall, Nuan Shu sat at the position below the main seat, frowning in thought. During Lin Yuan's seclusion, the many affairs of the demonic Tao were all decided by Nuan Shu. None of the 9 demon lords had any complaints, nor dared to have any. It's almost 10 years. Why has there been no news from Situ the Protector? Nuan Shu's expression showed a trace of worry. Situ the Protector, like Nuan Shu in past years, was one of the 36 protectors under the Demon Lord. He was also just as loyal to the Demon Lord as Nuan Shu. After Xiahou Yuan was suppressed at the 18th layer of the Great Abyss ground, Nuan Shu convened the remaining demon followers loyal to the Demon Lord, thinking of ways to rescue the Demon Lord. Meanwhile, Situ the Protector infiltrated the Tianjian sect, providing support to Nuan Shu by passing on intelligence from outside. In the era when the Demon Lord ruled over the demons of the 5 domains, Situ the Protector was renowned for his ability to transform and conceal his qi. With Situs methods, if he fully exerted himself to conceal and transform his qi, even a 9th realm powerhouse would not detect him. Thanks to this skill, Situ the Protector did well inside the Tianjian sect and gained access to a lot of intelligence. Before Xiahou Yuan emerged from the Great Abyss, Nuan Shu led the remaining demon followers in avoiding the encirclement and assassination attempts by the righteous forces several times, largely due to the information passed on by Situ the Protector. It was because of Situ the Protector's support within the Tianjian sect that Nuan Shu and the other demons survived through that most difficult time. After Lin Yuan emerged from the Great Abyss and took over the underground palace, subduing the 9 demon lords once again, Nuan Shu then sent word to Situ the Protector, telling him to return and that he no longer needed to hide in the Tianjian sect, fraught with danger. However, up to the present, Nuan Shu had not received any response from Situ the Protector. Could he have been discovered by the Tianjian sect? Nuan Shu speculated in her heart but then shook her head, dismissing the idea. She held Situ the Protector's life fire, which indicated his life and death. Given Situ the Protector's loyalty to the Demon Lord, if discovered by the Tianjian sect, he would definitely commit suicide without hesitation. Even if he didn't commit suicide, if captured alive by the Tianjian sect, they wouldn't leave him alive after a soul search. Either outcome would certainly extinguish Situ the Protector's life fire. Since the life fire was still burning, it indicated that Situ the Protector was safe for the time being, at least still alive. Hopefully nothing untoward happens. Nuan Shu sighed. Over the years, Situ the Protector had risked his life hiding within the Tianjian sect to rescue the Demon Lord. Now that the Demon Lord had returned, if he could come back alive, his status would at least be no lower than hers. Tianjian sect. Mists drifted aimlessly. It was like an immortal realm. A middle-aged man with an honest face walked along the mountain path, his gaze betraying a hint of anxiousness. Tianjian Zi has broken into the 10th realm, yet he deliberately seals off all information. hiding within the gates of the mountain with other powerful figures from the 5 domains. He must be trying to lure the revered figure to come here on his own initiative, the man with the honest face thought to himself in silence. He was none other than Situ, the protector, who had been hiding his true identity within the Tianjian sect for decades, treading on thin ice until today. Although he was but a disciple and had not taken part in Tianjian's secretive discussions with the powerful fighters of the 5 domains, he had guessed quite a bit from all the abnormalities revealed by the Tianjian sect over the years, and the terrifying aura that had pervaded a decade ago. No, this won't do. I must get out. And tell the revered figure not to come to Tianjian's sect at all costs. Situ, the protector, steadied his spirit and began to ponder carefully. Other than delivering the crucial information, Situ was even more aware that his identity could not be concealed for much longer. In recent years, Tianjian's dreadful sensory perception had enveloped the entire Tianjian sect multiple times, brushing past Situ on several occasions. Situ had a feeling that if this happened a few more times, Tianjian might very likely detect something unusual about him. Sida's skill at concealing his presence could fool someone of the 9th realm, but for someone like Tianjian who was of the 10th realm, if it weren't for his good performance in recent years and Tianjian not paying close attention to him, his identity would have likely been exposed several years earlier. Situ did not fear death, but what he feared was that upon his death, the revered figure would fall into the schemes of Tianjian sect. They'll have to try that secret passage, Situ made up his mind. Tianjian, in hopes of a successful ambush, had the whole Tianjian sect sealed off, forbidding anyone to enter or leave. Situ, like any other disciple, was no exception. It wasn't simply the blocking of all exits, but over the years, Situ had discovered a hidden path leading outside. It was just uncertain whether it could escape Tianjian's perception. However, Situ now had no choice. He could only take the risk and try. At the summit of Tianjian Peak, Tianjian and the other powerful beings all showed signs of impatience. 10 years had passed. A full decade they had been lying in wait here. Yet Xiahou Yuan just wouldn't take the bait and had not come to seek revenge. If it weren't for those present who had personally experienced the righteous demonic battle 3 or 4 decades earlier, and knew how Bai Qing'er had broken Xiahou Yuan's spirit, a feud that could only end with the death of one side, they would perhaps have suspected that Xiahou Yuan had already abandoned his vendetta. Sect leader, what exactly is going on with Xiahou Yuan? One of the 9th realm powerhouses asked in a low voice. Having come to the Tianjian sect and stayed for 10 years, his own forces must have been affected. Yes, sect leader, is Xiahou Yuan coming or not? If not, we're leaving. The other powerhouses in the area spoke out one after another. Although they hadn't been treated badly at the Tianjian sect, everyone had families and forces that needed managing and overseeing. Being absent for a whole decade was unacceptable to anyone. It was only because of Tianjian's high prestige as a once in tens of thousands of years 10th realm being that the others had not yet left. Everyone, please be patient. Tianjian opened his eyes, his expression calm as he said, the later he comes, the more it suggests that Xiahou Yuan has been seriously injured. If you cannot even wait for 10 years, how can we talk about dealing with Xiahou Yuan? At this, Tianjian paused for a moment, then continued, however, I believe that Xiahou Yuan should be arriving soon. Tianjian's words, like a calming anchor, gave the others a great deal of confidence. Well then, if the sect leader says so, we will wait a few more years. True, honestly, unless I see Xiahou Yuan's corpse, I won't dare leave. Ah, well said. The expressions of the many powerhouses relaxed, and on second thought, staying within the Tianjian sect was not too bad, especially since it supplied heavenly earth vital energy superior to that of their own forces. Tianjian glanced at the many powerhouses. He too was somewhat anxious, but letting go of this opportunity and allowing the powerhouses to leave would likely lead to the news of his breakthrough to the 10th realm being leaked. Then how could Xiahou Yuan possibly dare to come? Just as Tianjian was about to speak again, suddenly, Tianjian's brows furrowed. He looked towards a certain area outside the mountain gate. Chapter 162 Welcoming the Demon Lord back to the 5 domains. please subscribe. Compared to the champions of the 9th realm, the champions of the 10th realm had substantially heightened perception. Take Tianjian, for instance. Should he choose, his divine sense could envelop the entire Tianjian sect. During the period when the mountains were sealed, Tianjian, to ensure absolutely no leakage of information, covered it constantly with his own divine sense. Under such a method, even if a mere fly were to leave the range of the Tianjian sect, Tianjian would be aware. And just moments ago, Tianjian keenly sensed a very weak presence, quickly leaving the Tianjian sect through a secret passageway. Seeking death. Tianjian sneered. Immediately, under the shocked gazes of the other strong ones, Tianjian raised his right hand and flicked his finger. A terrifying sword intent gathered, turning into a palm-sized little sword, which only appeared for a moment, then vanished from its original place. At the edge of the Tianjian sect's mountain gate, Situ, extremely cautious, desperately concealed his aura, walking quickly forward. Almost. Just a little more, and he'll have left the Tianjian sect. Sightless breathing was almost imperceptible. Suddenly, a terrifying sword intent locked onto him. Not good. Sightless' expression drastically changed. His speed suddenly surged in an attempt to dodge the sword intent. But it was already too late. The strike of a 10th realm champion was not something easily avoided. Swoosh. A palm-sized little sword suddenly pierced through Sightless' chest. Sightless' eyes widened. He could feel his life force draining away at a terrifying rate. Tiny fragments of dreadful sword intent continuously stirred through his chest, shattering his limbs and primordial spirit. I can't die. Sightless' eyes were bloodshot. In a daze, he seemed to see the tall man who picked him up from a city filled with corpses over 200 years ago. Back then, the demon lord was in his prime, snapping his fingers and annihilating many strong ones, while he himself was in rags, lowly as dust. If not for the demon lord, he would have died long ago. If not for the demon lord, he would not have his today. In the blink of an eye, more than 200 years had passed, and everything from the past seemed like a dream. Before I meet the Lord, I cannot die. Situ suddenly erupted with a fierce will to live and without hesitation triggered the forbidden demonic Tao technique dismantling burning god skill. Once activated, the dismantling burning god skill would uncontrollably incinerate his physical body, primordial spirit, and everything else, until completely turning into nothingness. Meanwhile, the user would endure unimaginable pain. Of course, the effects were also very good, as during this forbidden technique, the user's speed would increase 10-fold or even 100-fold. And as time passed, the more the physical body and primordial spirit burned, the faster the speed would become. In fact, almost all demon lords, preferring to die by their own hands, would not activate this forbidden technique. After all, once the dismantling burning god skill was activated, it could not be reversed, and the physical body, primordial spirit, and everything else would quickly dissolve into nothingness. That is to say, once this forbidden technique was activated, even if one escaped death initially, one was still destined to die. Before death, one would still have to endure the endless pain caused by the burning of one's own body. So, this forbidden technique was somewhat like a double-edged sword. Although widely known, it was rarely seen used by any demon lord. What's the point? At Tianjian main peak, Tianjian seemed to perceive something, a look of surprise crossing his face. The dismantling burning god skill? Tianjian naturally sensed the aura of this forbidden technique. After a moment of thought, Tianjian decided to let Situ, the protector, live. Firstly, once this forbidden technique had been deployed, death was inevitable, and Situ, the protector, had already sustained a strike from him earlier and could hardly last much longer. Secondly, even if Tianjian wanted to pursue, it wasn't certain he could catch up. In just these few moments, Situ, the protector, had already fled hundreds of miles away, his speed becoming faster and faster, nearly out of control. Even if Situ wanted to stop, he couldn't, and eventually, he would turn into nothingness at high speed. Therefore, there was no need to pursue. Merely an ant. No need to pay attention. Tianjianzi slightly shook his head, addressing the curiosities of other powerful figures on the scene. His sudden action naturally drew the gaze of these powerful figures, and now an explanation was also appropriate. Deep inside the Tianjian sect, a beautiful valley, Bai Qing'er sat on a giant rock, her white and delicate legs gently swinging, causing ripples to spread. Big brother Xiaoho, will you come to find me? Bai Qing'er's gaze was directed towards the Tianjian main peak. She naturally was aware of Tianjian's scheme, and at this moment, Bai Qing'er was extremely conflicted. She hoped for Xiaoho Yuan to come because it would mean that Xiaoho Yuan still had feelings for her, even if it was hatred, it was still an emotion. However, with Tianjian's scheme, if Xiaoho Yuan dared to come near, he was undoubtedly doomed to die. Bai Qing'er now hoped Xiaoho Yuan would not die. Big brother Xiaoho, if you do come, I will plead with the sect leader to leave your whole body. Then, you would always be with Qing'er, Bai Qing'er murmured to herself, a happy smile appearing on her face. Next to the palace of Earth Spirit Spring, Lin Yuan sat cross-legged, still cultivating and pursuing enlightenment, nearly all his time in each traversed world devoted to cultivation. As for enjoyment, with his against heaven's understanding, Lin Yuan was always bursting with spiritual light, making progress every moment in his cultivation and understanding of the Tao and the world. For Lin Yuan, this was the greatest pleasure. Xian Huang. Lin Yuan delved into the Xian Huang evolutionary path. By now, he had reached the 5th stage section in this evolution path. However, just for that reason, the difficulty of further comprehension skyrocketed. After all, Lin Yuan was already at the 5th rank, and comprehending the 4th and 3rd ranks below, from a higher vantage point, even without against heaven's understanding, would still be somewhat effective. Chapter 163 Welcoming the Demon Lord Back to the 5 Domains. Please subscribe. _2. The Tao of Xian Huang is the Tao of heaven and earth. Lin Yuan contemplated carefully, often observing the natural world and integrating it with his own verification. The martial path evolutionary path could indeed be improved further, if Yin God, Yang Spirit, and Taiji Primordial Spirit cannot be perfected, then perfect the physical body. As Lin Yuan cultivated, the aura emanating from him became obscure and complex, as if transforming into a black hole or resembling the black and white patterns of a Taiji symbol. Suddenly, the aura around Lin Yuan surged. As if he had transcended some kind of shackles, his physical vitality and his soul and spirit both rose. 5th rank, 3rd segment. Lin Yuan breathed out gently, a smile appearing on his face. Compared to the current world's cultivation system, 5th rank, 3rd segment, would roughly equate to the 12th realm peak, infinitely close to the 13th realm. 12th realm peak, infinitely close to the 13th realm. Heaven would have pity. If the other cultivators of this world knew of this, they would probably feel ashamed enough to hit the wall. For tens of thousands of years, the strongest were merely at 10th realm. As for the 11th realm, probably only in the ancient times did such a level appear. The 12th realm was even unheard of. But Lin Yuan was already starting to touch upon the 13th realm. Wait a few more years until I fully step into the 13th realm, then I'll flatten Tianjian sect. Lin Yuan's thoughts were calm, thinking to himself. Although he wasn't Xiaoho Yuan, since his consciousness had descended into this body, some cause and effect naturally needed to be resolved. Besides, even if Lin Yuan wanted to laugh off past grudges, it would depend on whether Tianjian sect was willing. According to the intentions of the Supreme Elder from Zhigu sect, Tianjian sect and many powerhouses from the 5 domains were secretly plotting against him, Xiaoho Yuan. The rules of this world. Lin Yuan looked up, observing his surroundings. Although it was not as efficient as in the Divine Arms world, where one could directly observe the manifested fundamental rules of divine weapons. But comprehending the rules of this world at least proved to be much stronger than the main world. The origin source of the main world is powerful, its rules well established and operating to perfection, which makes it extraordinarily difficult for evolvers to comprehend the essence of these rules. Yet in worlds that he traversed with a weaker origin source, Even though the rules were not substantial, Lin Yuan could comprehend them here and then go back to slowly make up for it in the main world. I've heard that within some cosmic secret realms, independent of the main world, the operation of rules is explicitly revealed, and comprehending the rules there is far more efficient than in the outside world. As the 13th disciple of Chikuan Star Lord, Lin Yuan already had access to high-end information from the main world. This included the cosmic secret realms. Cosmic secret realms, similar to minor worlds, come in many varieties, with some even inhabited by powerful beings. Each cosmic secret realm is a treasure of human civilization, especially those with explicitly revealed rules suitable for rule comprehension, which are rare treasures indeed. In the future, I can ask the teacher about the cosmic secret realms. Lin Yuan thought to himself. As long as Lin Yuan continues to reveal his talent and capabilities, there's no fear that human civilization will not pour resources his way, such as the treatment for geniuses. With 3 goddesses present, a genius at most would only hide their identity, never suffering any repression or targeting. The next day, Lin Yuan ended his cultivation, sitting atop the main seat of the Great Hall, listening to the reports from Nuan Shu and 9 demon lords. Honored One, there has been no news from Tianjian sect so far. From the 5 domains, demon chiefs are continuously coming to submit, but so far, there are no demons of the 8th realm and above pledging allegiance. Nuan Shu spoke swiftly. Lin Yuan sat leisurely upon the primary seat, listening casually. As to why no demons of the 8th realm and above had come, Lin Yuan naturally understood. These demon chiefs dominated territories, claiming to be kings and warlords. Why would they come to serve under Lin Yuan? A few years ago, when Lin Yuan took over the underground palace, he subdued the Moyang demon lord and other 9 ninth realm demon lords with swift decisiveness, offering no chance for these 9 to escape. Naturally, this was also related to the fact that Lin Yuan had hardly shown himself in action in front of others since leaving the Great Abyss Ground. The only time was outside the Great Abyss Ground when he crushed Xianxia, a peak 8th realm powerhouse, with one hand. But after that, whether it was subduing young generation demon chiefs like Bian Mao or the 9 demon lords like Moyang demon lord, the news did not spread out. This caused the outside world's demon chiefs to start hesitating. These wastes, the Honored One is already out, and yet they do not come to pay homage. They all deserve to die. Moyang demon lord and the other 9 demon lords felt somewhat bitter, then became furious. They had already submitted, so why were those weaker 8th realm demons still roaming free? Nuan Shu stood by the side, about to speak. Suddenly, Nuan Shu's expression subtly changed. Honored One, there is a change in the life fire. Nuan Shu looked immediately at Lin Yuan. Let's go take a look. Lin Yuan remained composed. Nuan Shu quickly left the hall. Before long, Nuan Shu held a candle in her hand. At this moment, the candle's flame was so weak, flickering slowly as if it might go out at any time. This is Sidus life fire. Nuan Shu's expression was grave. Situ, the protector? Moyang demon lord and a few other demon lords glanced at Lin Yuan from the corner of their eyes. It was well known that Nuan and Situ were the 2 most loyal to Xiahou Yuan. Even though Xiahou Yuan had been suppressed in the 18th layer of the Great Abyss Ground, these 2 had done everything possible to rescue him. Especially Situ, the protector, who had even ventured into the Tianjian sect to gather more information, perhaps. It's Situ. Lin Yuan's expression became slightly solemn as he looked towards the candle in Nuan Shu's hand, the one that could go out at any time. In Lin Yuan's sight, the aura of the candle started to spread, connecting with a certain location in the distance. Situ is now within 100 miles. Lin Yuan stood up. The candle in Nuan Shu's hand flew up into the air, landing in Lin Yuan's hand. The protector Situ has returned? Nuan Shu was slightly startled, not quite understanding. As far as she knew, wasn't Situ the protector at the Tianjian sect? If he had escaped from the Tianjian sect, he would have sent a message ahead of time. He has already arrived. Lin Yuan caught the life fire and vanished on the spot. Outside the underground palace, a meteor was speeding towards the spot. If one looked carefully, they would notice that the meteor had almost faded into nothingness, with just a bit of spiritual soul force still burning. Whoosh! Lin Yuan appeared before the meteor. If it were anyone else, even peak powerhouses of the 9th or 10th realm, they would have difficulty blocking this meteor. Because the speed of this meteor had reached an extreme, surpassing the full-speed run of 10th realm powerhouses. Yet with a push of Lin Yuan's right hand, the meteor came to a halt in its place. Rise. Lin Yuan's brows were tightly knotted. This meteor was none other than Situ, the Protector. At this time, his physical body and flesh had long been burned to nothing, leaving only a sliver of primordial spirit force hanging on. Condense. Lin Yuan's thoughts moved ever so slightly. A vast amount of heavenly earth vital energy gathered. Continuously turning into a gentle breath, it was infused into the meager remnants of Sidus primordial spirit. Instantly, around the center of this sliver of primordial spirit force, a phantom figure rapidly coalesced. However, one could see the phantom figure taking shape, only to continue burning away. Your Excellency, Situ the Protector, wore a pained expression, regaining a trace of consciousness as if he felt Lin Yuan's true strength, and his face showed a hint of relief. Suddenly, Sidus' lips moved and he spoke a few words. At this moment, Nuan Shu and Moyang Demon Lord arrived outside the underground palace and witnessed this scene. A moment later, Lin Yuan once again gathered heavenly earth vital energy. However, the burning speed of Situ, the Protector, accelerated more and more rapidly. Ultimately, Sidus' face displayed a look of resignation and relief, and he completely dissipated into nothingness under the endless burning. Lin Yuan stood in place, seemingly in thought, motionless. Gathering her courage, Nuan Shu stepped closer, cautiously asking, "Your Excellency, what did Situ, the Protector, say at the end?" Naturally, Nuan Shu was aware that Situ, the Protector's entire body burning was the signature of the dismantling burning god skill. Wasn't it said that the use of this forbidden technique was excruciatingly painful? Why did Situ, the Protector, end up smiling at the end? He said 2 sentences. Lin Yuan spoke in an even tone. The first sentence had 12 characters. In death, to have seen your Excellency, I die without regrets. Lin Yuan floated in the air, his sleeves billowing as he reviewed Xiahou Yuan's memories, revisiting every detail about Situ, the Protector. So it was that little beggar. Lin Yuan's thoughts receded as he looked up towards the Tianjin sect, then turned and went back to the underground palace. The second sentence had 8 characters, awaiting the demon lord's return to the 5 domains. Chapter 164 The Great Movements of Heaven and Earth. The Child of Destiny. The dismantling burning god skill is known as a forbidden technique. Once employed, it cannot be reversed. The physical body and primordial spirit will quickly burn out, turning into nothingness. Actually, this description isn't entirely accurate. Irreversible, that part is correct. Even Lin Yuan would find it difficult to forcibly stop it. Using heavenly earth vital energy to recreate the primordial spirit is merely a transient solution, merely prolonging the endless suffering of the caster. Thus just now, Lin Yuan allowed Situ, the Protector, to burn into oblivion. But the last statement, that every aspect of the physical body and primordial spirit would burn out, is not accurate. At least after Situ, the Protector, turned to nothingness, Lin Yuan had already preemptively captured a strand of pure spiritual power. In the underground palace, beside the vitality spring, Lin Yuan sat cross-legged. In front of him, a strand of pure spiritual power floated. Outside this spiritual power, Taiyin and Taiyang merged into Taiji, isolating heaven and earth, completely separating the strand of pure spiritual power from the outer macrocosm. Without such a method of isolating heaven and earth, this strand of pure spiritual power would have dissipated the moment it was exposed. The current cultivators believe that the dismantling burning god skill burns everything of the physical body and primordial spirit, and that's also correct. Because apart from Lin Yuan, nobody could capture this strand of pure spiritual power. Even if they were at the peak of the 12th realm, or were even unprecedented 13th realm powerhouses, they would almost certainly be unable to do it. This isn't a matter of strength. It's about how systems of cultivation and personal methods combine. Lin Yuan's martial path evolutionary path, integrating myriad paths, is perfect in every aspect. As for other cultivators, they simply could not have the encounters and experiences of Lin Yuan, nor the against heaven's understanding to achieve integration, hence they remain at the 9th realm, 10th realm. This strand of pure spiritual power, could it be something essential like a true spirit? Lin Yuan thought to himself. For Lin Yuan, as long as the essence of the true spirit remains, he wouldn't consider it true death. How should I nurture it? Lin Yuan fell into thought. This essence of the true spirit is extremely fragile. If nurtured directly with heavenly earth vital energy, it would turn to ash in the next moment. Let's foster it in the 5-colored lotus for now. Lin Yuan's mind slightly moved, slowly integrating this essence of the true spirit into a nearby lotus displaying 5 colors. The 5-colored lotus, a rare spiritual plant of this realm. When Lin Yuan discovered this vitality spring, there were more than a dozen extraordinary flowers and herbs nearby, including the 5-colored lotus. When Lin Yuan advanced to the 5th rank, he consumed most of these extraordinary flowers and herbs, with only a few like the 5-colored lotus remaining. The 5-colored lotus has a mild nature and is miraculous in nurturing spirits. It is perfectly suitable for fostering the extremely fragile essence of the true spirit. Accompanied by the essence of the true spirit of Situ, the protector, merging into the 5-colored lotus, Lin Yuan distinctly felt the essence of the true spirit stabilized, and immediately began to slowly draw on the medicinal power of the 5-colored lotus, gradually growing stronger. Good. After nurturing it for a few years, this strand of true spirit essence should recover to the strength of a normal person. Lin Yuan slightly nodded. Once it reached that stage, the consciousness of Situ, the protector, would naturally revive. The rest was merely about finding a suitable body for him. Lin Yuan looked at the 5-colored lotus in front of him. Indeed, no need to search for a body. Isn't this 5-colored lotus the best carrier right now? Lin Yuan's face showed a hint of unusual color. With the vision of the main world universe starry sky, Lin Yuan understood that life is definitely not limited to the human race. In the vast, boundless main world universe starry skies, aside from the human race, many other powerful peak races exist. They might be plant life, elemental life, energy life, etc. Given that this 5-colored lotus, if Situ, the protector, could embrace all aspects of the 5-colored lotus, it would definitely be a great opportunity. Not to mention, life forms like these plants are famous for their longevity. Of course, even if Situ, the protector, couldn't accept it, it wouldn't be a problem with Lin Yuan around. It would merely be about finding another suitable body. Time slowly passed. Before long, several years had elapsed. Lin Yuan had hardly ever left the underground palace, always immersed in cultivation and enlightenment. Heaven and earth. Lin Yuan appeared thoughtful, feeling faintly that this realm's heaven and earth were extremely vast, seemingly not just limited to the 5 domains. Could it be, beyond the 5 domains, there are new great realms and continents? Lin Yuan pondered. Before his transition, he had split a thread of his consciousness to roughly observe the overall view of this realm, catching only a fleeting glimpse without paying much attention, only seeing the most conspicuous 5 continents. However, the fortunes of this heavenly and earthly realm are clearly beginning to burgeon. Is it due to my influence? Lin Yuan's thoughts shifted. The so-called fortunes of heaven and earth are profound and more profound. Lin Yuan had crossed 3 or 4 worlds before he somewhat understood this. To summarize, it can be said that when time and tide are right, all forces align. In a state where the fortunes of heaven and earth are burgeoning, the frequency of geniuses and powerhouses emerging would be much higher. Even the bottlenecks and constraints in cultivation would relax and loosen without a sound. Generally speaking, it's rare for a realm to be in such a state. It might not happen even once in tens of thousands of years. Lin Yuan seemed to have discovered something, looking up towards a not-too-distant place. There was a lotus displaying 5 colors, currently swaying gently. Is the consciousness reviving? Lin Yuan had an idea. Having nurtured it for several years, The essence of the true spirit of Situ, the protector, had grown rapidly and was now on the brink of consciousness revival. "You'll have a look." Lin Yuan stood before the five-colored lotus, observing carefully. I didn't die?" Situ Ming was somewhat dazed, having prepared for death after deploying the dismantling burning god skill. Chapter 165 The Great Movements of Heaven and Earth, Child of Chi Luck _2. Sid Ming only hoped, before death, he could meet the Esteemed One and inform him of the Tianjian sect's plans. But unfortunately, with the continual use of the dismantling burning god skill, Situ Ming's speed became faster and faster, and in the end, he not only had to endure endless pain, but he couldn't even stop. However, just when Situ Ming was in utter despair, he saw the Esteemed One appear before him, and even made an attempt to save him. It was at that moment, Situ Ming vaguely perceived the Esteemed One's terrifying strength, an aura so vast that even Tianjian Zi, who had already stepped into the 10th realm, was far inferior. Situ Ming died with no regrets. But now, Situ Ming attempted to perceive his surroundings. To his surprise, he found that he was now a lotus. A lotus that displayed 5 colors. Esteemed One. Situ Ming's perception continued to spread out. He discovered a tall man appearing before him. And this tall man was none other than his Esteemed One. "There's no need to worry. Right now, your soul and primordial spirit are nourished within the 5-colored lotus. Try your best to merge with the 5-colored lotus and take control of everything about it." Lin Yuan spoke, his voice gentle. Becoming the main consciousness of the 5-colored lotus was not an easy task. Even if a strong person from this world were to escape with their primordial spirit and seek a new host, they usually chose another member of the human race. As for using a certain plant as a host, not to mention whether it was possible, even if it succeeded, what would one do afterward? Simply become a plant? Yet Lin Yuan was different. In the main world, he had a complete series of secret techniques, namely the seizure secret technique. The Qikuan Star Lord of the past had seized a juvenile starry sky wanderer Kuan, which led to his later valiant achievements. Yes, Situ Ming had a natural submission to Lin Yuan and immediately began trying to merge with the 5-colored lotus, replacing its main consciousness. Good. Seeing this, Lin Yuan nodded slightly. His aid to Situ Ming was actually a kind of test. Moreover, if Situ Ming truly could become the master of the 5-colored lotus, his lifespan would at least explode to several thousand or even tens of thousands of years. It would also count as Lin Yuan's contingency in this world. Tianjian Mountain. Tianjian Zi and many strong ones were becoming increasingly irritable. What's going on with Xiahou Yuan? Is he coming for revenge or not? Why has there been no movement for so many years? Even if he was seriously injured from being suppressed in the 18th layer of the Great Abyss ground, but it's been more than a decade, hasn't he recovered? Aren't demonic practitioners best at healing injuries? Can't they just kill some people, extract their essence and origin source, and be done with it? What exactly is going on? Could it be that Xiahou Yuan knows I've had a breakthrough, so he dares not come? Tianjian Zi was reflecting. He realized that for all these years, he had been sitting on Tianjian Mountain, like a fool. It wasn't just him, even the others of the 5 domains were also waiting together. That shouldn't be it? For over a decade, I have blockaded the Tianjian sect. It was only a few years ago that the little demon went out. But after getting hit by my attack, plus activating the dismantling burning god skill, he could only keep flying, getting faster and faster, until he eventually dissipated into nothing, unable to stop at all. How could he have passed on any messages? Tianjian Zi was puzzled. But at this point, all he could do was to continue waiting. After waiting for more than a decade, if he stopped now, wouldn't it mean that they were mistaken all these years? How could that be? Do not panic, everyone. I believe Xiahou Yuan will come soon. We just need to endure a little longer. Tianjian Zi spoke, encouraging the many impatient strong ones present. Meanwhile, as the majority of the strong ones in the 5 domains were still stuck on Tianjian Mountain, hoping to catch their prey and waiting for Xiahou Yuan to come for revenge, they were unaware that subtle changes were starting to occur in the world. Within a bustling city, A small beggar looked at a middle-aged man selling books, eagerly staring at a tattered booklet on the shelf. Scram, 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 where did this little beggar come from? The book-selling middle-aged man waved his hand, his face full of disgust. I want that book. The small beggar mustered the courage to approach, pointing at the tattered book on the shelf. 10 copper coins, do you have it? The middle-aged man said, annoyed. 10 copper coins? I don't have. The small beggar shrunk back a little, but I have 2 copper coins. The small beggar's right hand fumbled in his pocket and brought out 2 copper coins. You actually have money? The middle-aged man was taken aback slightly. He immediately picked up the worn-out booklet and tossed it to the little beggar. I'm in a good mood today, so I'm selling it to you at a discount. In fact, he had fished out these booklets from a bookstore that was about to close, for just a few pennies each. The little beggar couldn't produce 2 pennies, let alone 1, but he would have sold it to him anyway. Thank you. The little beggar hugged the tattered booklet to his chest, placed the 2 pennies on the bookshelf, and hopped away. Idiot. The middle-aged man watched the little beggar's retreating figure with a hint of mockery. An old temple. The little beggar studied the booklet intently. Refining spirit decree? The little beggar mimicked the movements of the little figures illustrated in the booklet. Unbeknownst to him, heavenly earth vital energy slowly began to converge. It slowly merged into the little beggar's body. In just one day, the little beggar had stepped into the first realm. At a cliff's edge, a young man was being chased by dozens of men in black. Even if I die, I will become a ghost and come back for revenge. Filled with deep resentment, the young man leaped off the cliff. He didn't know how much time had passed. The young man woke from unconsciousness. Where is this? The young man found himself stopped by a tree trunk growing at the edge of the precipice. Not far away, on the nearly smooth cliff face, there appeared a pitch-dark hole that was clearly man-made. Assessing his situation, the young man realized that his only hope of survival was to enter that hole. So, he struggled toward the cave entrance. Good for nothing. Where is the talent you showed 3 years ago? For 3 whole years, not being able to sense the heavenly earth vital energy to form a primordial chi vortex inside your body, do you still have the face to continue using the clan's cultivation resources? An old man with a white beard was scolding a young boy. The boy hung his head, grinding his teeth, unnoticed by others. A faint glimmer suddenly flashed across the black ring on his right hand. As the great tides of heaven and earth surge forth, countless opportunities will arise, and many talents will emerge. Among them, the strongest talents can be called children of fate. Within the underground palace, though Lin Yuan had not gone out, he vaguely sensed the changes in the world. Such changes were profound, and even Lin Yuan felt shocked and amazed. Just then, not far away, the 5-colored lotus suddenly withered. Underground, the lotus root of the 5-colored lotus was taking shape indistinctly. A humanoid figure emerged from the ground. Composed entirely of lotus root, the figure came out and immediately knelt down, saying reverently to Lin Yuan, "Sidu Ming pays respects to my lord." Get up. Lin Yuan thought for a moment. He lifted his right hand, and a slight wound appeared. Then, a drop of blood that looked like mercury, vibrant red, fell onto Sidu Ming's lotus root body. Suddenly, the blood dispersed and dissolved. Sidu Ming's lotus root form began to change rapidly. Flesh, skin, limbs, and facial features grew. Not long after, a child of about 10 years old appeared. This. Sidu Ming's eyes widened. Just the ability to escape from the 5-colored lotus and crawl from underground had already made him overjoyed. But now, with just a drop of blood bestowed casually by his lord, he had transformed into a real human being? Such means? Were they any different from the divine powers in the myths of gods creating humans? Thank you, my lord. Sidu Ming knelt once again, expressing his gratitude. It's nothing. Lin Yuan waved his hand and observed the changes in Sidu Ming. He then continued, "You may enter the world now. With the great movements of heaven and earth, opportunities are countless. Go and find one that belongs to you." Understood, my lord. Sidu Ming promptly responded. He always executed his lord's suggestions to the letter. Before leaving, Sidiming seemed to remember something and asked hesitantly, "Should I bring back those opportunities, my lord?" "No need." Lin Yuan shook his head slightly. With a profound look, he said, "I no longer need those opportunities." Chapter 166 Go. Flattened Tianjin Mountain. Lin Yuan watched as Sidiming left. He had reshaped Sidiming's body with his own essence blood. There was another effect too. That was to inscribe his own brand. The hearts of men are fickle. Even the most loyal of subordinates. 100 years, 200 years, their loyalty can be ensured. 300 years, 500 years, loyalty can still be ensured. But what about 800 years, 1,000 years? What about when Lin Yuan's time is up and he has to leave this world? Will Situ Ming still be able to maintain his absolute loyalty to him? Situ Ming, now formed after the 5-color lotus transformation, could easily live for thousands and tens of thousands of years. Over the long years, anything can change. But by inscribing his brand with his essence blood, Lin Yuan eliminated any other possibility. Situ Ming's primordial spirit and body, having been fashioned by Lin Yuan, no longer have the capability to harbor any other thoughts. Continue cultivating. Lin Yuan closed his eyes and resumed his Tao enlightenment. Time slowly passed. 20 years later. In these 20 years, the world had changed more than it had in the previous 200 years, or even 2,000 years. One genius after another emerged, and heritages that had disappeared from history resurfaced. The great powers of the 5 domains underwent several major reshuffles. Of course, the Tianjin sect, with Tianjin from the 10th realm as its pillar, still overlooked the world from above, its status unshaken. However, more than 10 years ago, after the forces of the 5 domains, including Tianjin, realized they couldn't anticipate Xiahou Yuan's return. They could only go back to their respective homes and no longer wait in vain on Tianjin Mountain. There was no other way. If it were another time, they might have persevered a little longer. But now, with the world growing more volatile by the day, with powerful figures continuously emerging, these old-timers, would probably have their foundations uprooted if they did not make a comeback soon. Tianjin had no solution to this. He could only speculate that something unpredictable had happened to Xiahou Yuan. Perhaps Xiahou Yuan had realized that he had entered the 10th realm and defiantly refused to come over at all. Underneath the underground palace, next to a vein of fire, Lin Yuan sat cross-legged, his body radiating intense heat. 20 years of cultivation had naturally brought him to an entirely new level. Lin Yuan's strength now could be described as approximately comparable to the 14th realm of this world. He was indeed unprecedented and unrepeatable. Even the concept of the 14th realm was created by Lin Yuan because, before him, no being had ever ventured into this domain. For tens of thousands of years, the mightiest being in this realm had been of the 10th realm. Maybe 50,000 years ago or 100,000 years ago, there were beings beyond the 10th realm, but at most they reached only the 11th realm. As for the 14th realm? What a joke! It's almost time. Lin Yuan took a deep breath, his resounding breath causing even the nearby vein of fire to tremble. Huff! Lin Yuan exhaled, the scorching breath breaking through layers of soil, traveling dozens of miles, and striking an underground stratum. The layer burst into dust with a bang, and the terrifying fluctuations spread in all directions, causing tremors on the surface above. Now Lin Yuan opened his eyes, his emanating aura swiftly retracting, and within a few breaths, he seemed no different from an ordinary person. Tianjin sect. Lin Yuan slightly raised his head, looking in the direction of the Tianjin sect. Go and extinguish the Tianjin sect. Lin Yuan's thoughts slightly stirred. An indistinct figure, emanating with the power of Taiyin, emerged from within the sea of consciousness at his brow. The figure bowed slightly toward Lin Yuan and then stepped out, effortlessly passing through the thick soil to the surface above and immediately vanished. This figure was none other than Lin Yuan's Yin God, also known as the Taiyin primordial spirit. Actually, had it not been for Lin Yuan's discovery that the vast current of heaven and earth had surged forth 20 years ago, he probably would have already flattened the Tianjin sect right after stepping into the 13th realm 18 years prior. But now was not too late. No matter how vigorously the vast current of heaven and earth surged, it had its limits. The ceiling of this realm remained fixed, and no matter how much nurturing occurred, it couldn't produce supreme powerhouses like those from the main world. With Lin Yuan's current 14th realm strength, he was more than capable of sweeping through everything, even if it was only a Yin god. More than 20 years ago, Lin Yuan's own Taiji primordial spirit had divided into the Yin and Yang spirits. At that time, if the Yin and Yang spirits exerted their full power, they could grow to hundreds of feet tall. Now, after more than 20 years, the Yin and Yang spirits had grown more than 10 times stronger than before. Tianjin Mountain. On this day, the Tianjin sect was in celebration, bustling with activity. Guests came and went without end, because today was the 800th birthday of Tianjin. As the strongest of his time, and the only one from the 10th realm, Tianjin's birthday was naturally a grand affair. Many forces from the 5 domains and numerous powerful individuals wouldn't dare miss it. Even those unruly, adventure-laden younger generations mostly came in a subdued manner. In front of this senior 10th realm powerhouse, no one dared to act recklessly. At the top of Tianjin Mountain, Tianjin sat high in the principal seat. Looking at the many guests below, he was in high spirits. For a 10th realm powerhouse, 800 years was just a minor part of life. A 10th realm being had a lifespan of 2,000 years. Congratulations to Tianjin Senior, for a life as vast as the East Sea. A middle-aged man strode forward, bowing slightly to Tianjin. This middle-aged man was a 9th realm powerhouse, yet he remained slightly respectful in the presence of Tianjin, who had reached the 10th realm. Tianjin nodded slightly, indicating he had acknowledged the gesture. He would react only when powerhouses of the 9th realm rose to congratulate him. As for those below the 9th realm, he would merely acknowledge them with a glance. These few decades have seen the number of 9th realm individuals skyrocket several times over. Tianjin looked around, silently reflecting. As the sect leader of the world's most powerful sect, Tianjin was naturally aware of the changes within the 5 domains. But to cultivate a 10th realm, it will still take tens or 100 years. Chapter 167 Go Flatten Tianjin Mountain Under. At that end, perhaps a hint of longing flickered across Tianjin's expression. In another 100 or 200 years, he hoped to cultivate to the peak of the 10th realm. By then, he might even be able to attempt reaching the 11th realm, something that had only been achieved 50,000 years ago. Of course, thinking about this now was still premature. At present, Tianjin was far from reaching the perfection of the 10th realm, let alone the 11th realm. As Tianjin pondered, a veteran powerhouse below spoke out loudly, "Sect leader Tianjin's divine might is unparalleled. 20 years ago, Xiahou Yuan was so terrified that he didn't dare to seek revenge and would rather die than come here." As soon as this was said, it immediately sparked a chorus of agreement. Although only 20 years had passed, with the explosive increase of powerhouses from the 9th realm, everyone's fear of Xiahou Yuan had also invisibly diminished a lot. After all, in this era, strong warriors emerge in large numbers, especially those most dazzling ones who have nearly reached the peak of the 9th realm, hardly weaker than Xiahou Yuan back then. If Xiahou Yuan dared to appear again now, it's estimated that he would be swept away by the younger generation of warriors. In today's 5 domains mainland, a new era had arrived, and except for the Tianjin sect, which could maintain its status, all other forces were trembling with fear, dreading that they might be eliminated one day. Xiahou Yuan? Tianjin was slightly startled. Had no one mentioned that name, he would have almost forgotten it. A miserable dog, better left unmentioned. Tianjin shook his head slightly. The young generation of powerhouses were now his focus. As for Xiahou Yuan, he wasn't even worth another glance now. Exactly. What is Xiahou Yuan anyway? Does he even deserve a mention at sect leader Tianjin's birthday feast? I heard that one of the younger generation outside has a close relationship with Xiahou Yuan. So what if they are close? Even Xiahou Yuan was defeated by sect leader Tianjianzi. What waves can they possibly make? Many guests discussed noisily, expressing their deep scorn for Xiahou Yuan. Beside Tianjianzi, big brother Xiahou, by Qina, wearing a white dress, her delicate wrists supporting her chin. After all these years, won't you even look at Qina? Hundreds of miles away from Tianjian Mountain, within a secluded forest, Sida Ming gazed distantly at Tianjian Mountain, his expression tinged with gloom. Tianjianzi, if it weren't for the prime god's reluctance to bother, would you still be alive? Sida Ming thought to himself. 20 years ago, Lin Yuan allowed him to enter the world. With the terrifying talent of the five-colored lotus, Sida Ming broke through to the 9th realm in just over a decade, becoming one of the most dazzling figures among the young generation. Of course, the reason Sida Ming had ascended to the 9th realm so swiftly was entirely because he had been an 8th realm powerhouse before becoming the five-colored lotus. Even though he had to start over with his physical and primordial spirit after becoming the five-colored lotus, his foundational depth was still there, quickly restoring him to the power of the 8th realm, and a subsequent ascent to the 9th realm was only natural. One day, even if the prime god does not take action, I will also trample you, Tianjianzi, underfoot. Sida Ming took a deep look at Tianjian Mountain miles away, intending to leave. As of now, he was still far from being a match for Tianjianzi of the 10th realm. Suddenly, at that moment, Sida Ming's expression subtly changed. He looked in a certain direction. He saw a person strolling leisurely from afar. Although described as leisurely, his pace was extremely fast, covering hundreds of yards in just a few steps. This man had ordinary features, but each of his movements exuded an unusual charisma. Especially his fiery red eyes, which emitted a scorching sensation. Xiaohua? Upon seeing this man, Sida Ming's mind immediately made a connection to someone. Xiaohua, currently a leader among the young generation of the Five Domains mainland, with the strength at the peak of the 9th realm. It was said that Xiaohua showed extraordinary talent in his early teens, but later, over 3 years, his abilities all seemed to vanish, leading to his suppression by his family, eventually leaving the family in indignation. In the following 20 years, like having a breakthrough boost, Xiaohua rapidly grew stronger, breaking through the 9 realms, ultimately standing at the peak of the 9th realm. Sida Ming? Xiaohua looked calm, smiling at Sida Ming. I heard you have quite a substantial connection with the formidable villain Xiahou Yuan from decades ago? Seeing Sida Ming show a wary expression, Xiaohua shook his head slightly. Don't worry, I have no interest and no hostility towards Xiahou Yuan. There was something Xiaohua left unsaid, and that was he had never regarded Xiahou Yuan highly. In Xiaohua's eyes, his opponent had always been just one person. That was Tianjianzi of the 10th realm. Xiahou Yuan has a great feud with Tianjianzi, and coincidentally, our visit this time is also to deal with Tianjianzi. In a sense, you are still our friend, Xiaohua said with a smile. We? Sida Ming's gaze slightly condensed. Exactly. Xiaohua paused for a moment, then raised his voice. You too, won't you show yourselves? As soon as he finished speaking, 2 profound auras silently appeared within Sida Ming's sensory range. Sida Ming looked up. To his left was a female figure, her physique robust. Wonderful mental fluctuations almost led Sida Ming to be entranced. Yang Bixin? A shock crossed Sida Ming's mind. Yang Bixin, also a young generation leader with peak 9th realm capabilities. Yang Bixin had a pitiful background, a beggar in her youth, but somehow, she obtained a refining spirit decree, which was perfectly suited for her training. Afterward, Yang Bixin soared, ascending directly to the peak of the 9th realm. Haha. Since Brother Xiao has spoken, how could I, Shenlang, stay hidden? A loud laugh came, and a figure strode forward, his hair wildly dancing, like a majestic lion. Shenlang. Sida Ming was already prepared in his heart. Shenlang. Also a name among the young generation leaders, alongside Xiaohua and Yang Bixin. Unlike the previous 2, Shenlang had a distinguished family background, but at the age of 20 his enemies had come to kill him. In a desperate situation, Shenlang had no choice but to leap off a cliff. However, Xinlang did not die from the fall but rather received a heritage from a suspected 11th realm powerhouse from 50,000 years ago. You three. Sidaming looked at the trio. Xiaohua, Yang Bixin, Xinlang. The most dazzling trio of the young generation on the 5 domains mainland. They could even suppress the vast majority of the older generation at the 9th realm. We are here to challenge Tianjianzi to step into the 10th realm. Xiaohua spoke gently, yet emitted a strong intent to fight. With the capabilities of the three, only the high and mighty 10th realm could exert pressure on them, and with this pressure, they hoped to advance further, stepping into the 10th realm. Situ Ming, do you wish to join us? Xiaohua extended the invitation. Xiahou Yuan was once suppressed by Tianjianzi. Such humiliation, let us avenge it for him, Xinlang said slowly next to him. His gaze was fixed on Tianjian Mountain hundreds of miles away, unwavering. It is said that Bai Qing'er of the Tianjian sect is the most beautiful woman under heaven, who once dazzled Xiahou Yuan so much that he lost his senses. I'm quite curious to see what kind of beauty she is. Yang Bixin touched her hair, speaking softly. You, Sidu Ming took a deep breath. He realized that these three had never taken him, nor his master, seriously. The so-called revenge was just casual talk. Even without the master, these three would still challenge Tianjianzi. The master's vengeance should naturally be avenged by me, Sidu Ming said in a cold tone. He. Xiaohua was about to speak. Just at that moment, Xinlang, who had been standing beside them, his gaze fixed on Tianjian Mountain without a flicker, suddenly stiffened. His Bodis aura began to uncontrollably surge. What's happening? Xiaohua furrowed his brows, and alongside Yang Bixin, followed Xinlang's gaze. But with just one look, they witnessed a scene they would never forget. In the high skies above Tianjian Mountain, a sea of clouds tens of thousands of miles wide churned and hung low. A towering figure, over 100,000 feet tall, stood silently in front of Tianjian Mountain. Tianjian Mountain, a famed peak in the central region, also spanned dozens of miles high, usually shrouded in mist, resembling an immortal realm. However, at that moment, before the towering figure, even the lofty Tianjian Mountain merely reached his ankles. The next moment, under the shocked gazes of Xiaohua, Yang Bixin, and Xinlang, the towering figure slowly lifted his right foot towards Tianjian Mountain. He stepped down. Chapter 168 The 100,000 Zhang-In God. Please subscribe. Tianjian Mountain Peak. Seated high above, Tianjianzi overlooked the many guests with an indifferent expression. As the protagonist of the birthday banquet, Tianjianzi was undoubtedly the most watched person there. Those three little ones, they should be arriving soon, right? A hint of coldness flickered across Tianjianzi's face. As the master of the world's foremost power, how could Tianjianzi not know that the three most dazzling youths of the 5 domains were sharpening their claws, eager to step over him and ascend to the divine throne? This was not because Tianjianzi bore a grudge against them. For decades, Tianjian sect had not oppressed the younger generation. In fact, they couldn't even if they wanted to. It's just that Tianjianzi had been oppressing the strong of the 5 domains for too long, and the 3 leaders of the younger generation wanted to break his myth. By harnessing the pressure from Tianjianzi, they aimed to carve their own paths. Foolish. Today, I shall let you understand what the 10th realm is. Tianjianzi thought to himself. If given enough time, Tianjianzi did not deny that the 3 had the potential to step into the 10th realm. But now, mere 9th realm practitioners, how could they challenge Tianjianzi? This time I must not hold back. Once these 3 are dealt with, the younger generation of the 5 domains will be greatly weakened, and they won't threaten Tianjian sect for the next 100 or even hundreds of years. With that, I can also set out to that place with peace of mind. Tianjianzi's thoughts surged as his gaze faintly turned in a certain direction. That was the north. North of the northern region, north of the endless sea domain. After stepping into the 10th realm, Tianjianzi vaguely sensed a calling. A summons from the heavens and earth, constantly drawing him northward. The 2 predecessors from Tianjian sect who were in the 10th realm had also experienced this. After those two 10th realm predecessors from Tianjian sect heeded the call and headed north of the Endless Sea domain, they never returned. Thus, after entering the 10th realm, Tianjian Z had been suppressing this call. Only in recent years had the summons grown stronger, and Tianjian Z was vaguely aware that if he continued to delay, a great terror might ensue. Luan Yi, when will you reach the peak of the 9th realm? Tianjian Z's gaze shifted slightly, landing on Bai Qing'e. Bai Qing'e, originally named Luan Yi, was rumored to be Tianjian Z's childhood sweetheart. In truth, Luan Yi was just Tianjian Z's sister. However, ever since the incident with Xiahou Yuan, Luan Yi had taken Bai Qing'e as her actual name. Soon. Luan Yi answered nonchalantly. Once you reach the peak of the 9th realm, I will help you step into the 10th realm with all my strength, said Tianjian Z. When will the sect leader come out of seclusion and capture Xiahou Yuan for me? Luan Yi suddenly asked. Xiahou Yuan? Tianjian Z's brow furrowed. He had long since stopped concerning himself with Xiahou Yuan. However, seeing Luan Yi like this, it was clear she had been left with a heart demon because of that incident. Enough. Tianjian Z sighed inwardly. Even as a 10th realm practitioner, if Xiahou Yuan was determined to hide somewhere, there was not much he could do. But after decades of cultivation, Tianjian Z had delved deep into the 10th realm and had even comprehended several secret techniques left by his 10th realm predecessors. If he paid a certain price, it was still possible to locate Xiahou Yuan. After the birthday banquet, I will bring back Xiahou Yuan. However, you must promise me the thing you promised. Tianjian Z spoke in a calm tone, as if he were retrieving not the legendary fiend who once oppressed the 5 domains but rather a stray cat or dog. Thank you, sect leader, Bai Qing'e said, immediately smiling with joy at the words. At that moment, she had already begun to envision the various scenes that would unfold once Xiahou Yuan fell into her hands. Suddenly, at that moment, the numerous strong practitioners gathered at the peak of Tianjian Mountain, celebrating for Tianjian Z, suddenly realized that the sky seemed to darken. The originally sunny and mist-enshrouded peak of Tianjian Mountain became gloomy all at once. What is that? A strong practitioner looked up at the sky. They saw a continent-sized massive shadow falling rapidly toward Tianjian Mountain. Not good. Run quickly. What is this thing? Even though the strong practitioners did not know why the continent shadow had appeared here, they realized that staying would definitely not bode well. So they frantically fled in all directions. As long as they could escape the coverage range of the continent shadow, they should be safe. Unfortunately, it was too late. The continent shadow descended too quickly, and the boundless power of Taiyin spread, turning into a terrifying pressure, restricting all the strong practitioners' speeds. Tianjian Z soared into the sky. The breath of a 10th realm practitioner burst forth unrestrained, shaking the heavens and the earth. Others could run, but Tianjian Z could not, for beneath his feet lay Tianjian Mountain, the core land of Tianjian sect. If he were to flee and cause any accident to Tianjian Mountain, wouldn't he be the sinner of Tianjian sect for tens of thousands of years? Most importantly, Tianjian Z had a vague feeling that even if he wanted to run, he could not. Surrounded by the formless and profound power of Taiyin, even though Tianjian Z was a 10th realm practitioner, his speed was greatly reduced, and there was no hope of escaping before the continent shadow descended. Stop! Tianjian Z's eyes turned blood red, and his aura surged once more, towering like a divine being, attempting to hold back the descending continent shadow. However, Tianjian Z exploded abruptly. The continent shadow did not stop even for a moment, continuing to press down on Tianjian Mountain. Rumble, rumble. With the continent shadow's relentless descent, Tianjian Mountain began to collapse. One after another, the strong practitioners burst apart, their flesh and primordial spirits shattering into fragments that fell. Chapter 169 The 100,000 Zhang-In God. Please subscribe. _2 During this time, there were strong beings who realized they couldn't escape and chose instead to stand their ground and resist furiously. However, it was meaningless. They were continuously blasted apart. In just a few breaths' time, the towering Tianjian Mountain had been flattened. All that was left in its place was a giant pit reaching dozens of miles deep. If one were to look from thousands of miles away, they would find that this massive pit resembled a footprint, but magnified by billions of times. The auras of countless primordial spirits turned into streaks of light, racing in all directions. The thick scent of blood spread. That single step had shattered the physical bodies of countless strong beings. Having lost their physical forms, the primordial spirits were still there. Even though they were severely damaged, many of the strong beings' primordial spirits had not completely collapsed. Now grasping the opportunity, they naturally fled as if mad. It was at this moment. Above the sea, miles away, another vast shadow reached down. If one observed carefully, they would discover that this huge shadow resembled a human face with blurred features, impossible to make out in detail. One could see this face turning towards the direction of the huge footprint, opening its massive mouth, and taking a deep inhale. In the face of the terrifying suction, be it primordial spirits or the dispersing blood and energy, all of it turned into long dragons, flowing into the mouth of that immense face. Hundreds of miles away, in a dense forest, Xiaohua, Shenlang, and Yang Bixin, three widely admired young leaders full of hope, were now pale and stiff. Gazing up at Tianjian Mountain, it had been flattened under the step of that towering figure, and the countless strong beings on the mountain, including Tianjian Zi of the 10th realm, had their physical bodies and primordial spirits crushed, only to be swallowed by that towering figure in one gulp. The minds of Xiaohua and the others turned to mush, especially Shenlang, who had received the heritage of an 11th realm powerhouse from 50,000 years ago. But even 50,000 years ago, 100,000 years ago, or even more distant times, there had never been such a horrifying scene, had there? This is a primordial spirit. Xiaohua touched the ring on his right hand, barely suppressing the shock in his heart, and said in a low voice, "Primordial spirit? That towering figure is a primordial spirit?" Shenlang and Yang Bixin took deep breaths once more. Even the primordial spirit of a 5th-rank peak powerhouse of the 9th realm, when exerting all its might, would at most be 100 zhang tall. The primordial spirit of a 10th realm powerhouse might possibly reach several hundred zhang. But just now, that towering figure was at least 100,000 zhang tall. If such a massive primordial spirit existed, how powerful must its owner be? The 12th realm? The 13th realm? Xiaohua and the others couldn't believe it. Even with countless fortuitous encounters, they only ever thought they could step into the 10th realm. Shenlang, with the heritage of someone from the 11th realm, might have a slim hope of reaching the 11th realm. As for higher, they dared not think of it. They wouldn't think of it, because that was completely beyond reality. "This is the Venerable One. This is the Venerable One's Taiyin primordial spirit," said Situ Ming. Compared to the shock and terror of Xiaohua and the others, Situ Ming, who had been the 5-colored lotus, had spent a long time with Lin Yuan and was quite familiar with his aura. The current towering figure might reach from heaven to earth, flattening Tianjian Mountain with a single step, its divine might dominating the world, but the faint aura it emitted was similar to that which Situ Ming had sensed from the Venerable One. The Venerable One? You're saying that this primordial spirit belongs to Demon Venerable Xiahou Yuan? Xiaohua and the others exchanged glances, unable to imagine that Xiahou Yuan, who had long withdrawn from the stage of the 5 domains, had cultivated to such a realm where just one primordial spirit could sustain heaven and earth. It was simply inconceivable. "Of course," said Situ Ming, "I can still recognize the Venerable One's aura." In his heart, Situ Ming was equally shocked. He had thought Lin Yuan was very powerful. When he had used the dismantling burning god skill in the past, certain death was inevitable, but he was forcefully saved. And during that time, Situ Ming vaguely sensed the vast aura from Lin Yuan. But Situ Ming never thought that Lin Yuan could be so powerful, deploying just one primordial spirit to annihilate Tianjian Mountain. Here, annihilate didn't mean in a symbolic sense, like sweeping through the many strong beings of the Tianjian sect and crushing Tianjian Zi. It meant physically annihilating it. The entire Tianjian Mountain had been leveled to the ground. Xiahou Yuan, Xiaohua and the other two carefully pondered. They realized that throughout the five domains mainland, to bear such deep hatred for the Tianjin sect as to directly trample its gates. Xiahou Yuan was definitely one of them. Moreover, Xiaohua and the others didn't believe that Sidu Ming had the courage to let his respected superior impersonate such a powerhouse. Should it be discovered by him, the entire demonic Tao would be trampled flat just like Tianjin Mountain. As Xiaohua and the other two whispered among themselves, far away, hundreds of miles distant, that towering figure over 100,000 zhang tall, after swallowing the essence and blood of numerous powerhouses' primordial spirits, slightly turned its massive head, casting a gaze towards the dense forest here. It was merely a glance. Yet it brought Xiaohua and the other two an unprecedented pressure. It felt as if the heavens and earth were collapsing, as if all things were being annihilated. No. Xiaohua, Shenlang, and Yang Bixin instinctively knelt on the ground, not daring to continue gazing at that towering figure. Although they were separated by hundreds of miles, Xiaohua and the others knew that to that towering figure, a few hundred miles was merely a few steps. Interesting. The Taiyin primordial spirit seemed to have discovered something. Its forms suddenly dispersed, turning into countless particles of Taiyin power, disappearing from the spot. It wasn't until half an hour after the Taiyin primordial spirit had left that Xiaohua, Shenlang, and Yang Bixin dared to lift their heads. Only after confirming that the towering figure had disappeared did the three of them breathe a heavy sigh of relief. What should we do now? After a long while, the softly spoken Yang Bixin asked in a low voice. Upon hearing this, Xiaohua and Shenlang immediately fell into silence. Originally, according to their plan, they were to challenge powerhouses everywhere to pave their own road to the 10th realm. As the number one powerhouse in the five domains, Tianjin was naturally their target. But now that Tianjin was dead, a challenge was no longer possible. In fact, although Tianjin had died, a far more formidable existence than Tianjin had appeared. That was the demon Lord Xiahou Yuan mentioned by Situ Ming. And challenging the demon Lord Xiahou Yuan. Challenge my ass. Forget about the demon Lord Xiahou Yuan himself, even one of his primordial spirits, to be precise, a glance from one of his primordial spirits. The three of them felt as if the world was collapsing, unbearable. A challenge? Xiaohua and the others may have grand ambitions, but they were not fools. They knew better than to leap forward into certain death. The reason they had dared to challenge Tianjin earlier was that they had the assurance they could save their own lives. Even if they failed, they could withdraw in one piece. But facing the demon Lord Xiahou Yuan, Xiaohua, Shenlang, and Yang Bixin looked at each other. Suddenly, everything seemed tasteless. They had been full of confidence in their cultivation, believing that with their own efforts, they could surpass anyone. Yet, after merely witnessing that towering figure before, their state of mind began to crumble subtly. What was the use of further cultivation? Wouldn't it be trivial for that towering figure, with just a step? Even a step wouldn't be necessary. A mere glance, or perhaps a sliver of killing intent. Below the underground palace, Lin Yuan was sitting cross-legged. Streams of Taiyin power converged. The Taiyin primordial spirit appeared before Lin Yuan. Finished? Lin Yuan casually asked. In fact, as the main body, he shared a viewpoint with the Yin spirit and Yang spirit. To be precise, one consciousness divided into three, the Taiyin primordial spirit trampling down Tianjin mountains each and every detail, as clear as the pattern on one's palm if Lin Yuan wished to see it. The question finished? He just asked was nothing more than a casual inquiry. The 100,000 Zhangyin god, Lin Yuan's gaze was serene. No matter which world it was in, 100,000 zhang was considered a colossal size. If converted to another unit, with 1 zhang equaling 3.3 meters, 100,000 zhang would be 330,000 meters. That is, 600 miles. Even in the main world, such a massive body would be considered a fifth-rank life form, one of the strongest beings on the planet. Of course, the primordial spirit is not the same as the physical body. Without the restrictions of flesh and blood, as long as the realm is reached, it can almost grow infinitely. Chapter 170, The Dispute Over Spreading the Tao and the Great Fate, 100 Years in Balance. Please subscribe. Those three children of destiny? Lin Yuan's expression fell into brief contemplation. What are children of destiny? Favored by the world, even drinking water could lead to serendipity. In summary, having extremely good luck, often turning misfortune into fortune and continuously growing stronger. And these points were what Lin Yuan had finally witnessed today. Under normal circumstances, Xiaohua, Yang Bixin, and Shen Lang were supposed to go to Tianjian Mountain to challenge Tianjian and pave their own paths toward the 10th realm. If everything went smoothly, when the three of them reached Tianjian Mountain, Lin Yuan's Taiyin primordial spirit would descend and flatten Tianjian Mountain with a single footstep. With the strength of the Taiyin primordial spirit, regardless of what methods those three children of destiny had, they were destined to die. However, under such circumstances, for some unknown reason, those three children of destiny suddenly stopped midway, had a few words with Situ Ming, and even invited Situ Ming to go with them. It was just this slight delay that saved the three children of destiny from a massive disaster. One could only say that the luck of these three children of destiny was too good. You must know, compared with the three of them, Situ Ming, although also part of the younger generation, was far from their equal. Usually, Xiaohua and the others wouldn't even stop to talk to Situ Ming, let alone have such a prolonged conversation today. Is it really luck? Or some kind of hint? Lin Yuan looked thoughtful. Actually, with Lin Yuan's strength, if he really wanted to kill those three children of destiny, no matter how much the world favored them, no matter how good their luck was, it wouldn't matter. The three of them were still destined to die. There was no chance for luck. In the face of absolute strength, only equal strength can contend. As for the rest, all illusions. However, Lin Yuan had insights into the cosmos. He faintly felt that, even if he killed those three children of destiny, it wouldn't mean anything. As long as this world existed, in several years or decades, there would still be a fourth, a fifth, a sixth child of destiny born. That's why just now, the Taiyin primordial spirit looked at those three children of destiny and said the word interesting. Pitiable, Lin Yuan shook his head slightly. Children of destiny are favored by the world. But success by destiny and failure by destiny. The next line to when the time comes, the world exerts the same force, is when luck departs, the hero is no longer free. What does not free mean? The children of destiny can be seen as the children of the cosmos. Or, perhaps, incarnations of it. Their limit is the limit of the world. And they can never escape the shackles of the world. Of course, there is also the possibility that a child of destiny eventually overcomes the consciousness of the world and turns defeat into victory. But the likelihood is too low. Everything you have, all your methods, are conferred by the world, are bestowed by the cosmos. With what will you win? Speaking of which, in recent decades, the great forces of the world have surged, and three children of destiny have been born in succession, also influenced by me. Lin Yuan's thoughts started to spin, suddenly realizing. Over the years, Lin Yuan's strength had constantly grown, breaking free from past constraints time after time. Others might not be aware, like Situ Ming, Nuan Shu, Moyang Demon Lord and his other subordinates. At most they just realized that Lin Yuan was very strong. But how strong he actually was, they had no concept. Or rather, they couldn't even imagine. However, this world, this cosmos, could feel the changes in Lin Yuan's strength. Excessively powerful individuals bring a sense of crisis to the world, and lead to the rise and fall of great fortunes, the emergence of children of destiny. In a way, the birth of these children of destiny is for the purpose of subduing demons, to bring down Lin Yuan, the startlingly powerful demon. But, birth of children of destiny also requires time. Even investing the power of an entire world to nurture three children of destiny, and reaching the peak of the 9th realm in just over 20 years, is considered incredible. But Lin Yuan's growth rate is even more astonishing, so fast that even the children of destiny cannot compare. This has led to a rather awkward situation. Facing Lin Yuan, the children of destiny would have their spirits crushed, not to speak of subduing, they wouldn't even dare to harbor such thoughts. Sigh. As Lin Yuan was contemplating, the Taiyin primordial spirit before him opened his mouth slightly and released 2 streams of primordial spirit force. These 2 streams of primordial spirit force began to condense upon coming out, turning into 2 thumb-sized figures. It was Tianjianzi and Baiqingya. The primordial spirits of other powerful beings were swallowed by the Taiyin primordial spirit to nourish itself without any hesitation, but these 2 were held in a special position in Xiahou Yuan's heart. Of course, it wasn't any kind of good position. "Swallow them as well," Lin Yuan said as he looked down at the 2 tiny figures of Tianjianzi and Baiqingya. He felt a sense of dullness for a moment. He didn't wait for the 2 to awaken, nor did he wait for them to show shocked and fearful expressions when they awoke and saw Lin Yuan. He directly summoned the Taiyang divine spirit and swallowed the 2 primordial spirits as well. Devouring the primordial spirits of living beings can pollute one's own soul's purity, but occasionally swallowing a few isn't a problem. From Lin Yuan's current heights, unless he devoured billions or quadrillions of living beings in a short period of time, there would be no problem or hidden danger. Having settled the grudges of his original self, Lin Yuan began contemplating the next matter, which was spreading the Tao. Along with his rising status in the main world, Lin Yuan discovered that the main world's super-powerful beings would spread paths of evolution related to themselves or their kin. For instance, the innate ancient gods in the depths of the cosmic starry skies. With their might, if they weren't willing, there wouldn't exist the ancient god evolution path. In fact, the ancient gods were very eager for the ancient god evolution path related to themselves to spread among humans. Chapter 171 Preaching Tao, The Struggle of Great Destiny, 100 Years of Eternity. Subscribe please. _2 It was merely suppressed by the human alliance. Not only the ancient gods but also those high-level powerhouses of the human alliance. They were deliberately, and sometimes unintentionally, spreading their own evolutionary paths. The vast array of evolutionary paths collected by the Cosmic Human Alliance could not possibly be achieved solely through forced uploads by the evolvers. It had to be voluntary. Lin Yuan had once asked his senior brother, that is, the Qikuan Star Lord's eldest disciple, the strongest among the 13 disciples. The senior brother told Lin Yuan he said spreading one's own evolutionary path related to the ultimate leap. Of course, the ultimate leap was too far away for the senior brother. Even the Qikuan Star Lord was far from that level. To truly reach that step, one had only hoped by creating an evolutionary path that fully suited oneself. Currently speaking, whether it was the senior brother, the second brother, or the third brother, they were all following the evolutionary paths of their predecessors. Since most of the superpower houses in the main world are spreading their own evolutionary paths, then that surely means this method is undoubtedly correct. In the main world, within the human alliance, thousands of evolutionary paths emerge concurrently. The martial path evolutionary path created by Lin Yuan needs to go through heavy competition before it can attract some evolvers. It's just in other worlds. The difficulty of Lin Yuan spreading his own evolutionary path is naturally not high. After all, with invincible strength, why fear others won't cultivate? However, spreading an evolutionary path, that is, a cultivation system, is a very time-consuming affair. Lin Yuan possessed against heaven's understanding, and from a high perspective, he could reach the peak in just a few decades. But what about other people? They might need several generations, or even dozens of generations, to achieve something. To prevent the martial path evolutionary path from mysteriously dying out during its spread, Lin Yuan had to cultivate a protector to take over after his departure from this world and ensure the vigorous development of the martial path. This protector's lifespan must be exceptionally lengthy, as passing it down generation by generation could easily lead to issues. And most importantly, he must be absolutely loyal to Lin Yuan, no matter if thousands or tens of thousands of years pass, still able to execute Lin Yuan's commands perfectly. The protector chosen by Lin Yuan was none other than Situ Ming. Situ Ming himself was a 5-colored lotus with a long lifespan, easily living thousands to tens of thousands of years. Plus, With both his primordial spirit and physical body coming from Lin Yuan, he was absolutely loyal. Even after Lin Yuan's time limit arrived, he could still replace Lin Yuan and ensure the martial path could be passed down for a long time. When Lin Yuan initially saved Situ Ming, he spared no effort using a 5-colored lotus as well as many other resources and time, ultimately even a drop of his vital blood. It was all in consideration of this day. Several months later, Situ Ming returned to the underground palace. "Master!" Situ Ming knelt before Lin Yuan with unmatched fervor. Nuan Shu, Moyang Demon Lord, and others also stood by respectfully. Tianjian Mountain had been flattened by a certain existence's foot, and this news had spread across the 5 domains like a hurricane. After all, many ordinary people lived around Tianjian Mountain, and even cultivators of the 4th and 5th realms. Under the step of the Taiyin primordial spirit, all the powerhouses on Tianjian Mountain were utterly annihilated. But outside of Tianjian Mountain, there were still many who witnessed this scene. All sorts of rumors arose in no time. They said Tianjian sect had offended the gods, thus the punishment was brought down, and so on. The people outside had all sorts of speculations. In fact, the demonic Tao had various guesses too. But all speculations vanished after Situ Ming returned, because Situ Ming told them it was the master's doing. From today onwards, all cultivators of the demonic Tao will also cultivate this method. Moreover, use all means possible to spread this cultivation method throughout the 5 domains mainland, Lin Yuan said indifferently. Before him, a stack of books was laid out. It recorded the martial path evolutionary path he had organized recently. Lin Yuan, while maintaining its core unchanged, had substantially modified it to integrate it as much as possible into this world. Yes. Nuan Shu and Moyang Demon Lord immediately agreed. North. After sending everyone away, Lin Yuan still sat cross-legged next to the vitality spring. At Lin Yuan's current realm, he had vaguely sensed that at the far north, beyond the northern region and even the north of the Endless Sea domain, there indistinctly existed a black hole. This black hole, like a gluttonous beast, was incessantly devouring the heavenly earth vital energy. This caused the overall heavenly earth vital energy to decline at a certain slow pace. 50,000, 100,000 years ago, the 5 domains mainland had seen the birth of 11th realm powerhouses. But from 10,000 to 50,000 years ago, 11th realm powerhouses had become legends, and even 10th realm powerhouses were extremely rare. As for now, in the 10,000 years since, the only confirmed 10th realm powerhouse was Tianjianzi. Under the prospering of great destiny, those children of destiny might step into the 10th realm, but it was a temporary solution, not addressing the root cause. The so-called great destiny was merely exhausting the potential of thousands, tens of thousands of years to come. After these children of destiny have passed away, this world might not even see a 9th realm powerhouse. And the chief culprit of all this was the massive black hole that Lin Yuan had vaguely sensed. Located north of the Endless Sea domain, eastern region, in a purple bamboo forest. Xiaohua, Yang Bixin, and Shun Lang, the 3 children of destiny, stayed here. Even if Xiahou Yuan is strong, it should not affect us. His strength is his own affair, we still need to continue cultivating. Yang Bixin spoke softly but was the quickest among the 3 to recover. Absolutely. Heaven forges ahead, and a gentleman should ceaselessly strive to strengthen himself. Shen Lang quickly rallied. Embarrassed. Xiaohua's eyes were red, but he also recovered in that moment. The 3 looked at each other and laughed. Just as they were about to continue chatting, suddenly, a roaring noise came from deep within the purple bamboo forest. Seeing this, Xiaohua and the others immediately stood up and approached. They vaguely felt that there was something extraordinary about the roaring noise. Shortly after, the trio arrived in front of a gigantic cave entrance. The entrance was pitch black, but immense primordial chi fluctuations were emanating from within, as if it connected to another world. What is this? Xiaohua frowned. This is an entrance to the underground world, a rare sight every tens of thousands of years. Shen Lang pondered for a moment, his expression becoming excited. With Shen Lang's explanation, Xiaohua and Yang Bixin gained some understanding of the underground world. The so-called underground world was the subterranean world of the 5 domains, vast and immense. Most importantly, it retained the concentration of primordial qi from tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of years ago. In the past 100,000 years, entrances to the underground world appeared several times. Each time, the cultivators who entered emerged significantly stronger, indeed the top opportunity in the world. Haha. Even the heavens are helping us. Xiaohua and the others glanced at each other and stepped in without hesitation. Once the three had entirely entered the black hole entrance, the ground shook again, and chunks of rock fell, completely concealing the entrance. Time slowly passed. Tianjian Mountain was flattened by a powerful entity. The truth gradually spread that Demon Lord Xiahou Yuan's demonic power was complete. He sent out his primordial spirit, transforming into a gigantic godly figure 100,000 zhang high, leveling Tianjian Mountain. When this incident first broke, most did not believe it because it was too incredible. 100,000 zhang tall primordial spirit, that's extremely powerful. But as time passed, the demonic Tao continued as usual, and more people started to believe. After all, if the story were false, Xiahou Yuan would have quickly come forward to debunk it, lest the next target to be flattened be the demonic Tao, right? But Xiahou Yuan did not deny it, and no demonic being came forward to explain, which meant it was tacitly accepted. In this scenario, Xiahou Yuan remained alive and well, only proving that the news was true. Suddenly, Xiahou Yuan was revered by many powerhouses of the 5 domains as the strongest in the world. To be precise, the strongest in the last 100,000 million years. 100,000 zhang tall primordial spirit was simply terrifying. And just then, a cultivation system known as martial Tao rapidly spread across the 5 domains mainland. Those without cultivation aptitudes, the ordinary people, began trying this martial Tao cultivation system. Even those cultivators in the 3rd realm, 4th realm, upon discovering the potential of the martial Tao cultivation system, decisively abandoned their own cultivation and switched to martial Tao. And just like that, 100 years hurriedly passed by. Chapter 172 How Tall is the Demon Lord? Super large chapter of 5,000 words. 100 years had passed, and the world had transformed significantly. In the eyes of ordinary people, this might represent a lifetime. Even for cultivators below the 6th realm, 100 years could be considered half of one's life. Especially this century, the changes in the world were far greater than those of the past 1,000 or even 10,000 years. The first and foremost was the leveling of Tianjian Mountain, an impact that was not merely temporary but profound and enduring. What was Tianjian Mountain? It was the mountain gate of the Tianjian sect, the stronghold of the foremost power in the world. For tens of thousands of years, the Tianjian sect had given rise to more than one cultivator of the 10th realm, and its influence in the 5 domains mainland was deeply entrenched. Such a colossal power, even if it were to decline, would do so gradually, only completely falling after thousands or tens of thousands of years. Yet now, it had been flattened in a single stroke. More crucially, it wasn't just the disciples of the Tianjian sect who died. Before the flattening of Tianjian Mountain, it was the time of Tianjian's 800th birthday celebration. At that time, the mountain had gathered all the powerful allies of the Tianjian sect. But the outcome? These mighty individuals perished along with Tianjian Mountain. This led to a catastrophic loss for most powers in the 5 domains. Subsequently, when facing the onslaught from the demonic Tao forces, the native powers of the 5 domains simply collapsed. In the first decade of this century, the demonic Tao accomplished the feat of unifying the 5 domains, a feat not even the Tianjian sect in its heyday, despite many powers submitting to them, could claim to have truly unified the 5 domains. And all this was accomplished by the demonic Tao forces. To be precise, the demonic Tao forces were able to do this entirely because of Lin Yuan. Without Lin Yuan's destruction of the major arteries of the righteous powers in the 5 domains, even if the demonic Tao wished to unify the 5 domains, they would have been dragged into a lengthy war, taking far more than 10 years to achieve unity. Of course, the so-called unification of the 5 domains by the demonic Tao was merely superficial. Behind the scenes, there were still many remnants of the original powers of the 5 domains trying to launch counterattacks, attempting to reclaim everything they had lost. But with Lin Yuan present, all resistance was futile. Lin Yuan did not even leave the underground palace, but merely sent out his Yin god and Yang spirit, inflicting heavy losses on the resisting forces. Even so, such resistance continued to occur. Each interval between resistance efforts was getting longer, clearly indicating that the resistors also knew that they were no match for Demon Lord Xiahou Yuan head-on. They could only lurk in the shadows, waiting for an opportunity to strike. In the eastern region, Binhai City. Inside an inn, a storyteller was fervently speaking. Speaking of recent events, a group of strong individuals arrived in the coastal areas, suspected to be disciples of the Xianxia sect, which was annihilated by the demonic Tao forces 100 years ago. The surviving disciples fled overseas and now they have returned, surely up to no good. This storyteller clearly had a well-informed source, even providing his own insights. From what I see, the eastern region is about to experience unrest, the storyteller said, his words filled with emotion. Great chaos in the world was definitely not good news for common folk like them. Meanwhile, in a corner of the inn, an old man with white hair and beard sipped his wine, savoring it joyfully. If there had been a ninth realm expert present, they would have detected that this old man, with his unfathomable aura, was also a cultivator of the ninth realm. However, this old man was different from other cultivators of the ninth realm. He did not seek power or wealth but enjoyed traveling through the 5 domains and savoring fine wines. This osmanthus brew from Binhai City is becoming more flavorful. The old man nodded in approval. Oh, Grandpa, you shouldn't drink. Did you hear what the storyteller just said? The eastern region is becoming restless. The young girl at his side tugged at his sleeve. Oh, the old man responded indifferently and continued to enjoy his osmanthus brew. Grandpa, the girl became a bit anxious and couldn't help but ask, do you think the 5 tribes will make a move? What does a little girl like you have to worry about such matters? The old man glared at her and, seeing tears starting to form in her eyes, quickly soothed her. I don't know if the eastern region will be unstable, but a while ago, some folks from Dihua sect sought me out, wanting me to take action and occupy an earth-grade spirit spring. So, Grandpa, did you agree? The girl's eyes immediately brightened. Of course not. An old man like me should just enjoy his twilight years, the old man shook his head and said. He did not have the courage to oppose the Demon Lord. Who was the Demon Lord? He was the strongest being in 100,000 years. Ordinary cultivator may not understand the concept of cultivating a primordial spirit to 100,000 zhang. But as a ninth realm cultivator, the old man was aware of the immense difficulty and the almost inconceivable awe that it inspired. Besides, the 5 domains under the rule of the demonic Tao forces, it's not much different than before. The old man glanced at his granddaughter, a curious expression on his face. 90 years ago, when the demonic Tao unified the 5 domains, the old man had seen it all. Originally, he thought that the suffering of all beings was about to begin, for how could the 5 domains possibly fare well under the rule of the demonic Tao? Would all beings simply be penned up and used as nourishment for the cultivators of the demonic Tao? However, as time passed, the old man suddenly realized that this scenario never actually happened. After unifying the 5 domains, the demonic Tao forces actively disseminated a cultivation system known as martial Tao. This system, which had a low threshold, was explained in detail by appointees from the demonic Tao forces. This generous act was something that had never occurred in tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of years before. Chapter 173 How Tall is the Demon Lord? Super large chapter of 5,000 words. To the once great powers of the 5 domains, to maintain their own status, would never have passed on their family's cultivation techniques. Not to mention specially sending people to instruct others. This was simply, the elder was unable to describe such a measure. He only felt that the thoughts and considerations of the demon venerable were completely beyond those of ordinary people. Grandfather, I want to go to the central region and visit the sacred land of demonic Tao, the young girl whispered at that moment. The sacred land of demonic Tao was the very underground palace where Lin Yuan cultivated. Over a century, this underground palace had become a sacred site in the 5 domains, with countless cultivators going there to pay their respects. Of course, to avoid disturbing the demon venerable, all cultivators could only observe from 50 leagues away from the underground palace. The sacred land of demonic Tao? The elder was somewhat hesitant, but upon recalling that he had never opposed the demon venerable over the years, his expression quickly became calm. All right. The elder nodded, giving his consent. Beneath the underground palace, next to the vitality spring, Lin Yuan sat cross-legged, his aura completely withdrawn, as if he was in an entirely different space. Seemingly illusionary, seemingly ethereal. Name, Lin Yuan. Role, holder of the Myriad Realms Gate. Bound talent, heaven-defying comprehension. Current state, consciousness descent. Remaining stay duration, 140 years, 140 more years of staying duration. Lin Yuan glanced at the ethereal text below his line of sight and thought to himself. Unbeknownst to him, he had already been in this world for 160 years. The 300-year stay had almost imperceptibly passed by a large part. The 16th realm, Lin Yuan examined himself. 100 years had elapsed, and Lin Yuan had broken through 2 realms, from the 14th realm to the 16th realm. However, upon entering the 16th realm, Lin Yuan faintly felt that this realm seemed to be the limit of this world. Advancing further might provoke the innate rejection of the world. Perhaps directly expelling Lin Yuan from the world? No, that's not right. The limit of the world should not be merely the 16th realm. Is it because of that black hole to the north? Lin Yuan's thoughts surged as his gaze once again drifted northward. More than 100 years ago, Lin Yuan had detected a massive black hole to the far north, beyond the endless sea domain. This black hole at every moment was devouring the heavenly earth vital energy of this world. As a result, the upper limit of the world's powerhouses had been decreasing again and again. 50,000 years ago, even 100,000 years ago, there were traces of 11th realm powerhouses. Yet, in the recent tens of thousands of years, the 10th realm has become quite rare. Perhaps tens of thousands of years later, even powerhouses of the 9th realm will become a legend. It was due to that black hole that the upper limit of this world had decreased and was almost unable to accommodate Lin Yuan anymore. Over tens of thousands of years, whenever a 10th realm powerhouse emerged, they would disappear from the 5 domains within just decades or a century, perhaps heading for that black hole to the north. Lin Yuan looked thoughtful. After the demonic Tao unified the 5 domains, he had greatly increased access to historical records, understanding the final actions of those 10th realm powerhouses over tens of thousands of years. While Lin Yuan was pondering over this black hole, he seemed to sense something, emitting a slight sound of surprise, and turned his gaze toward the east. Under Lin Yuan's perception, 30 leagues away from the underground palace, 2 figures were stealthily approaching. One was the form of an elderly man, possessing the power of the 9th realm. The other was a girl in her teens, currently full of curiosity and inspecting the direction of the underground palace. Lin Yuan's gaze fell on the young girl. The Bai family still has descendants. Lin Yuan closed his eyes, feeling a sense of nostalgia welling up within him. The Bai family had significant ties with Xiahou Yuan, who hadn't yet achieved greatness in his demonic practices when he fell in love with the direct daughter of the Bai family. Later, because Xiahou Yuan made too many enemies, the Bai family was implicated and exterminated from top to bottom. The Bai family held a special significance for Xiahou Yuan. Back then, Luan Yi from the Tianjin sect, under the guise of Bai Qingya, approached Xiahou Yuan, which is how she managed to gain Xiahou Yuan's trust. It was because she pretended to be a descendant of the Bai family's bloodline. Otherwise, how could a cold and ruthless man like Xiahou Yuan invest so much emotion in a woman? Finally, his mental state was forced, and he was suppressed in the 18th layer of the Great Abyss underground. However, now, Lin Yuan once again felt the aura of the Bai family bloodline from that young girl. This type of bloodline was not the disguise like Bai Qingya's. It genuinely originated from the depths of her lineage. 30 leagues from the underground palace. The elder was somewhat nervous. They were now within 30 leagues from the underground palace, having ventured far deeper than the designated 50 leagues. Xiao Bai, are you sure it's all right to be this close? The elder asked again. Originally, he had come with the young girl, like other cultivators, to slowly view the area from 50 leagues away from the underground palace. But as the girl was exploring, she led the elder along a small path within the 50-league boundary, until now, when they were only 30 leagues from the underground palace. This made the elder sweat coldly when he thought that just 30 leagues away was the demon venerable Xiahou Yuan, who could level the Tianjian sect with one step. The elder's legs grew weak. Grandfather, what are you afraid of? I specifically found out about this path. Many people have walked it, just to get closer to the sacred site for a better view. The girl led the way in front, her tone brimming with excitement. Are you sure? The elder was now somewhat regretting bringing the girl here. Though the girl was not his biological granddaughter, having been found by him in the wild, the elder's affection for her was genuine, always treating her as his own granddaughter. Absolutely sure. Before us, many have already used this path to visit, and no problems occurred. Chapter 174 How Tall is the Demon Lord? Super large chapter of 5,000 words. The girl patted her chest and said, I hope so. The old man steadied himself, trying hard not to overthink. He had also noticed that many people had trodden the path beneath their feet. Yet, even being so close to a personage like the Demon Lord, the old man still felt fear from the bottom of his heart. Grandpa, you're too timid, the girl couldn't help but say. Timid, the old man thought helplessly to himself, but didn't know how to retort. Just then, in front of the path that the girl and the old man were traveling, a tall man appeared silently. The tall man stood there quietly, seemingly lost in thought. Upon seeing this, the girl immediately grinned and laughed. Grandpa, look. It's not just us on this road, there are others who want to get a closer look at the Holy Land, the girl immediately said. That's good. The old man breathed a sigh of relief. The tall man stood there without a hint of a cultivator's aura. To the old man, this was a sign of safety. If even ordinary people could get close without harm, they probably wouldn't have any problems either. Having walked along this path for so long without encountering anyone, the girl, upon meeting the tall man, immediately went up to strike up a conversation. Are you here to observe the Holy Land too? Observe the Holy Land? The tall man turned his head, glanced at the girl, and didn't answer. Don't be shy. Apart from observing the Holy Land, who else would come here? Thinking the tall man might be shy, the girl approached and said, It's just as well we met. You can come with us. My grandpa is really powerful, a great master of the 5 domains. The girl extended an invitation. The tall man remained unmoved, neither accepting nor declining. This made the girl somewhat exasperated. What's with this guy, acting like a mute? Did he even understand what she was saying? Let me put it this way, my grandpa is a 9th realm powerhouse. Do you know what the 9th realm is? The girl couldn't help but reveal some home truths. In the 5 domains mainland, there are fewer than 100 9th realm powerhouses, and my grandpa is one of them. If you follow us, you don't need to worry about safety. Were you picked up by your grandfather? Finally, the tall man spoke up, his voice deep and magnetic. He hadn't detected the Bai family bloodline in the old man. Ah, how did you know? The girl's eyes widened. She was certain she had not told the tall man about this matter. Could it be that you are? The girl's eyes lit up. Are you a fortune teller, someone who can divine? Did you realize instantly that I'm not my grandfather's biological granddaughter? Bai. The old man vaguely sensed something and his voice trembled slightly, not even daring to look directly at the tall man. But at that moment, his voice was so faint that the girl did not notice it at all. I didn't think you actually had some skill. I always thought those fortune tellers were just scam artists. The girl became interested. The tall man's ability to immediately see that she was not related by blood to the old man was obviously no simple matter. Come. Help me see when I can become a powerhouse like my grandpa. The girl stood on tiptoe, patted the tall man on the shoulder, and said, Don't worry, as long as you're accurate, I won't skimp on your reward. Let me tell you, my grandpa has a lot of treasures. Just take your pick of any. By seeing the girl actually daring to pat the tall man on the shoulder, the old man felt a rush of blood to the head and started to grow dizzy, his legs trembling, nearly collapsing right there and then. And it was precisely as the girl stood on tiptoe to pat the tall man on the shoulder that the air seemed to solidify. One after another, figures appeared all around. The aura emanating from each figure was that of a 9th realm peak. No fewer than 29th realm peak powerhouses stood quietly a short distance away. The leader among these figures exuded an aura that surpassed the 9th realm. However, all these figures appeared behind the girl, and considering her low power level, she didn't notice anything amiss and remained unaware. But whereas the girl was oblivious, the old man next to her sensed everything very clearly. Cold sweat broke out on his forehead, his legs shook uncontrollably, and he was nearly about to kneel on the spot. Retreat. The tall man stood with his hands behind his back, speaking indifferently. Suddenly, every figure that appeared vanished swiftly, as if by command. The alley returned to its original state. Only the old man knew what had just happened. He and the girl had nearly walked through the gates of death. You remind me of an old friend of mine. The tall man smiled faintly. He reached out and gently touched the girl's head. Ouch! The girl didn't understand why, but facing the tall man's gesture, she had no intention of resistance and stood there dazed. Go back. Practice well. The tall man raised his right hand. With a gentle wave, the old man and the girl felt darkness before their eyes. When they opened their eyes again, they found themselves 50 miles away once more. Grandfather, what was that? The girl was a bit bewildered. It took her a long while to react. What had just happened? Wasn't she just talking with the tall man? Bye! Only the old man had recovered his senses. He directly grabbed the girl's collar. Then, he sprinted in the opposite direction of the underground palace. Several hours later, thousands of miles away from the underground palace, the old man finally stopped. Fear still lingered on his face. Do you know who that was just now? The old man took a deep breath, raised his hand to slap the girl but couldn't bring himself to do it. Ah! Who was he? The girl blinked her eyes. By now she had also begun to realize. Demon Lord. He is Demon Venerable Xiahou Yuan. The old man's voice trembled as he spoke. He is the Demon Lord? Bei's eyes widened once again. After a long while, Bei suddenly remembered a question. It was a question she had been too embarrassed to ask before, but having just met the Demon Lord and survived, she naturally wanted to ask it aloud. Grandfather. Everyone says Demon Venerable Xiahou Yuan is unfathomably tall. So how tall is he really? The girl looked at the old man full of anticipation. How tall? The old man seemed to see the tall figure of the man flashing before his eyes once again. He should be as tall as the heavens, I suppose. Chapter 175 World Consciousness Descent. Please subscribe. It's just, the elder suddenly remembered something. He examined the girl over and over again. If he hadn't seen wrongly just now, did the girl stand on her tiptoes and pat that tall man on the shoulder? If that tall man was the Demon Lord, didn't that mean the girl had patted the shoulder of the Demon Lord? Such an audacious act, and yet they both managed to come out alive, was simply inconceivable. That was Demon Venerable Xiahou Yuan. A ruthless person who could flatten Tianjin Mountain with one stomp. At that moment, when he saw the girl reaching out to pat the other's shoulder, fear clouded his consciousness. However, unexpectedly, nothing happened afterward. She resembles an old friend. The elder remembered a sentence said by the tall man. Could it be that this granddaughter he had picked up was a descendant of an old friend of Xiahou Yuan? For a moment, the elder was puzzled. After thinking for a while, he decided not to think further about it. No matter what the girl's relationship with the Demon Lord was, she was his granddaughter. Having lived together for over 10 years, their bond was like that of family, if not by blood. The underground palace. Lin Yuan's gaze reached far towards where the elder was. Descendant of the Bai family, Lin Yuan's expression was calm. The descendant of the Bai family was Xiahou Yuan's deepest bond. Just now, when Lin Yuan appeared in front of that girl, he reached out and touched her head. and casually transmitted a strand of primordial qi to her. This strand of primordial qi could subtly improve the girl's aptitude. With this primordial qi, entering the 9th realm in the future would be no difficult task. Lin Yuan's action also served as a complete severance of the original ties between Xiahou Yuan and the Bai family. The 5 domains, Lin Yuan's gaze was profound. Under his command, the demonic Tao forces unified the 5 domains' mainland with terrifying speed. It wasn't that Lin Yuan wished to claim the throne of the 5 domains, rather, he wanted to spread the martial Tao cultivation system as widely as possible. Only by unifying the 5 domains could he openly propagate martial Tao, which was Lin Yuan's true purpose. During the few hundred years he would stay in this world, he wanted to fully integrate the martial Tao cultivation system into the 5 domains. That way, even if he were to leave one day, or even if the demonic Tao forces were overthrown, the martial Tao cultivation system wouldn't necessarily disappear. Just like a star colonizing movement, colonizers would spread their culture and language as extensively as possible on the colonized planet. Thus, even if the colonizers were to be driven out and the colony became independent, it would likely still use the language and culture of the colonizers. There are countless evolution paths in the main world, each standing alongside strong practitioners. Even a martial path evolutionary path, no matter how excellent, couldn't compete with those that had existed for tens of thousands or even millions of years. Therefore, why not open up a new battlefield and spread one's evolution path through other worlds? Even though the scale of other worlds was far less than the main world, like the current 5 regions world, which at most was comparable to a higher-grade life planet in the main world, one could not ignore the sheer numbers. With the door to the myriad realms, Lin Yuan could spread it an infinite number of times. Furthermore, even if there are 100 billion citizens on a high-tier life planet in the main world, how many can truly cultivate a certain evolution path? In other worlds, Lin Yuan believed that with his means, he could make the martial Tao cultivation system the mainstream system of cultivation. That is, the first cultivation system that all beings would prioritize to practice. Day after day, as the years accumulate, what do those super-strong beings in the main world have to compare with Lin Yuan? Although I'm not sure what use there is in spreading the evolution path I created, or what its relationship with the ultimate leap is, there's no harm in it for me, just a small effort required, thought Lin Yuan privately. After all, no matter how many people practiced the martial Tao cultivation evolution path, it wouldn't affect Lin Yuan. And as for worrying about his descendants surpassing Lin Yuan, the founder, if it were the founder of an ordinary evolution path, there might be such concerns. But as for Lin Yuan, with his against heaven's understanding, not to mention the latecomers, even the trailblazers would be quickly caught up by Lin Yuan. The successors wouldn't even qualify to look up to him, let alone surpass him. My lord! At that moment, a voice came from outside. Come in, Lin Yuan said as if he had anticipated it, nodding his head. Soon, a figure walked in with utmost respect. It was Situ Ming. 100 years had passed, and with Lin Yuan's assistance, Situ Ming had successfully advanced into the 10th realm. He was the first among Lin Yuan's subordinates to reach the 10th realm. A perfect vessel indeed. Lin Yuan looked at the respectful Situ Ming and thought to himself. Situ Ming's body was a 5-colored lotus, with both flesh and primordial spirit coming from Lin Yuan. Therefore, in Lin Yuan's eyes, Situ Ming was the most perfect vessel for consciousness descent. In simple terms, if Lin Yuan's physical body were destroyed, he could directly take residence in Situ Ming's body. The two would be a perfect match without needing any time to adapt. Of course, in Lin Yuan's eyes, Situ Ming's usefulness was far greater than just being a vessel for descent. With Lin Yuan's current strength, even if all the powerful beings of this world attacked together, they wouldn't be sufficient for him to slap away. The only threat to Lin Yuan was the consciousness of the world itself. There was no need to prepare any vessel for descent. I need you to do something. Lin Yuan looked at Situ Ming and slowly spoke. Please speak, my lord. Situ Ming immediately responded formally. To say the least, even if Lin Yuan asked him to take his own life right now, Situ Ming would execute the command without hesitation. 140 years from now, I will leave this world. At that time, you will take my place, ensuring the spread of the martial Tao cultivation system. If there is any sign of its decline, intervene to prevent it, Lin Yuan stated. All things cannot escape the passage of time. Though over the past century, the martial Tao cultivation system had already spread widely throughout the 5 domains mainland. Chapter 176 World Consciousness Descent, please subscribe. _2 More and more people began to practice martial Tao. But as time passed, there could be many accidents. And Situ Ming was the contingency plan left by Lin Yuan, the best candidate to protect the path of martial Tao. Situ Ming wasn't of the human race. His true form was a 5-colored lotus, possessing a longevity that spanned over 10,000 years. Moreover, with Lin Yuan there to aid his cultivation, entering the 11th realm before his time limit was no issue. With such a protector, Lin Yuan naturally felt at ease. After all, Situ Ming's physical body and primordial spirit were both bestowed by him, ensuring absolute loyalty, and even as time passed, no other thoughts would arise. As for what to do after 10,000 years, once Situ Ming passed away, Lin Yuan felt that if martial Tao could exist for 10,000 years in the 5 domains mainland, it would surely have taken deep root, making it impossible to erase even if one wished to. And even if something unexpected really occurred, there would be nothing Lin Yuan could do, as 10,000 years was not just a distance, but an immensely long span of time. Yes. Situ Ming agreed without hesitation. If the demonic Tao forces are threatened, Situ Ming asked cautiously. He meant to ask whether he should intervene to maintain control over the 5 domains if the demonic Tao forces could no longer maintain their rule in the future. You don't need to concern yourself with that. Just ensure the continuation of the martial Tao heritage. Lin Yuan waved his hand. Ensuring the transmission of a cultivation system and ensuring the transmission of a unified power are not the same in terms of difficulty. The latter is full of hidden dangers, and if Situ Ming truly dared to meddle, even with the strength of the 11th realm, he might not come out unscathed. Situ Ming wasn't Lin Yuan, who had the power to crush everything. The fact that 11th realm powerhouses had once emerged in this world indicated the possibility of more appearing in the future. Lin Yuan, on the other hand, didn't care. With the strength of the 16th realm, no amount of 11th realm fighters posed a threat to him. Besides, Lin Yuan had left some trump cards for the demonic Tao forces, ensuring that they would continue to rule the 5 domains for hundreds, perhaps thousands of years after his departure. You may leave. After today, you need not show yourself in front of others, Lin Yuan instructed. Just observe the 5 domains from the shadows. As you command. Situ Ming felt somewhat disheartened. He vaguely sensed that his master was giving his last words. But how could that be possible? A 10th realm powerhouse lived for 2,000 years, and his master crushed 10th realm fighters as if stepping on ants, so why would he be giving his last words so soon? Watching Situ Ming's departing figure, Lin Yuan fell into contemplation again. To fully integrate the martial Tao cultivation system into this world, Lin Yuan had made 3 preparations. The first preparation was the unification of the 5 domains. To spread the martial Tao cultivation system in the most orthodox way. The second preparation was having Situ Ming, the protector, to ensure that the martial Tao cultivation system could still be spread steadily after his departure, capable of facing and resolving any accident that might occur. The first 2 preparations were for unexpected situations under normal conditions. They covered nearly all possibilities. As for the third preparation, Lin Yuan targeted the world consciousness of this world. The world is conscious. This was something Lin Yuan had vaguely sensed during his first travel. In the martial world, when Lin Yuan finally began to touch its upper limits, he felt a pressure coming from the heavens and the earth, like a whale stranded on the beach. This was the world consciousness rejection. As for the second and third worlds he traveled to, Lin Yuan never had this feeling, solely because those 2 worlds were special. In the Dragon Tiger world, there were items like the true martial sword and primeval demon spirits from higher realms. Its world level was vaguely elevated, so Lin Yuan never felt rejection in the end. The divine arms world was even more akin to being incomplete, with parts of its laws extracted by the ancient godly beings to create divine weapons, leading to the world's consciousness being weakened. In this current world, Lin Yuan could faintly sense the will of the world. What is the world consciousness? It has no joys or sorrows and is similar to the artificial intelligence of the main world, constantly maintaining the operations of the world itself. Lin Yuan's third preparation was to prevent the world consciousness from deliberately suppressing the martial path evolutionary path. If the world consciousness detested the martial path evolutionary path and under its own evolution, even with the presence of the protector Situ Ming, the martial path evolutionary path might not last long and could disappear through various accidents. World consciousness, Lin Yuan murmured softly. The world consciousness was not a tangible entity. If Lin Yuan wanted to meet with the world consciousness, it could be difficult or not, depending on the approach. The simplest method was through the children of destiny. The children of destiny are products born from the outburst of the world's grand fortune, targets of the world consciousness' keen attention. If Lin Yuan found a child of destiny, he might be able to communicate with the world consciousness. Of course, even without a child of destiny, there were still ways to force the world consciousness to appear. That is, by destroying this world. Lin Yuan naturally would not employ this method, but it could be used to intimidate the world consciousness. Child of destiny, Lin Yuan pondered. Over 100 years ago, the Taiyin primordial spirit had once glimpsed those 3 children of destiny, remembering their auras. But soon after, these 3 children of destiny disappeared from the 5 domains mainland. Lin Yuan speculated that under the empowerment of the heavenly and earthly movements, they must have encountered some extraordinary fortunes. I'll wait a bit longer. After pondering for a moment, Lin Yuan sank back into cultivation. With his current level of strength, as long as those 3 children of destiny reappeared on the 5 domains mainland. Chapter 177 World Consciousness Descent, Subscription Request, _3 They could perceive it in an instant. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, several years had gone by. In a certain purple bamboo forest in the eastern region, thunderous roars. A series of booming sounds came forth. Suddenly, 3 figures soared into the sky. A vast, distant aura wildly dispersed. The area within tens, hundreds, even hundreds of miles, was all enveloped by a terrifying aura. Ha ha! We're finally out. Xiaohua Yang Bixin and Shen Lang, the 3 of them laughed wildly. Their clothes were tattered, but their eyes shone with extreme brightness. Over a century, they had endured endless torment underground and had finally passed the test, emerging through their own strength. And after such a long time of cultivation, their strength had leaped from the peak of the 9th realm to the 10th realm. And not just the 10th realm but the peak of the 10th realm. Furthermore, in the underground world, the trio had discovered a joint attack skill. After they perfected it, their combined attack could withstand opponents from the 11th realm and even the 12th realm. After a long time, the 3 vented their emotions. They started gathering together to discuss what to do next. Our current strength could dominate a region even 10,000 years ago, and if we use that secret technique, maybe even demon venerable Xiahou Yuan. Shen Lang said this but stopped short, his gaze revealing a hint of ambition. The underground world century had been a persistent nightmare because of demon venerable Xiahou Yuan. If the 3 of them could defeat Xiahou Yuan, no, just withstand him, or even just save their lives from him, that nightmarish influence would completely vanish. With their minds fulfilled, even striving for the 11th realm might successfully happen. Then, Xiaohua also felt slightly excited, about to ask when they would seek out Xiahou Yuan. Suddenly, just then, a deep, magnetic voice came through. No need to look for me. In an instant, the heavens and earth turned upside down, the sun and moon lost their light. A mysterious aura filled the area for thousands of miles. Under the shocked gazes of Xiaohua, Yang Bixin, and Shen Lang, a towering figure approached from the horizon, each step seeming to compress space. In just a few steps, he stood before them. I came by myself. This towering figure stopped, looking down at Xiaohua and the others. Demon venerable Xiahou Yuan. Xiaohua's scalp numbed, his spirit shuddering, feeling as if the power of the 10th realm within him had completely succumbed to stillness. In front of Xiahou Yuan, Xiaohua felt he wasn't the invincible fighter of the 10th realm, but rather a baby, a mere ant. How can he be so strong? Shenlang felt utterly disheartened. The sensation Xiahou Yuan gave them now was far stronger than that of the primordial spirit from a century ago, by 10-fold, 100-fold. During these 100 years, not only had they made significant advances, Xiahou Yuan had also been refining his skills continuously. Even refining at a pace much faster than theirs. Xiahou opened his mouth, wanting to say something. But then he saw Xiahou Yuan, suspended in the sky, raising his right hand toward them. Boom! A terrifying aura instantly began to compress. Xiaohua and the others suddenly spat out blood, their consciousness beginning to blur. Are we going to die? Yang Bixin slowly closed her eyes. However, just then, a cold, vast consciousness appeared silently. Xiaohua slowly stood up, his eyes, which had been red, now turned pure gold. He looked up at Lin Yuan. Though looking up, there was a sense of looking down. As if heaven were looking down on all creations. World consciousness. Lin Yuan withdrew his hand, placing it behind his back. You've finally shown yourself. Chapter 178 Trade. Crossing the seas, the 11th realms beyond the 5 domains. Xiahou stood erect, his eyes a pure golden color, void of any emotional fluctuation. Upon seeing this, Lin Yuan was not surprised. For him, Sidu Ming was the perfect vessel, and he could dominate his body with just a thought. After all, everything about Sidu Ming was bestowed by Lin Yuan, who couldn't resist him, and he didn't even harbor the thought of resisting. Similarly, in the eyes of the Supreme World Consciousness, the perfect vessel is naturally the child of destiny. Whenever the World Consciousness wishes, it could descend into the body of the child of destiny at any moment and take control of everything. Faced with the descent of the world will, the child of destiny couldn't resist, and no matter how strong, it was pointless. Years ago, Lin Yuan planned to force the world consciousness to appear through those 3 children of destiny. Regrettably, the 3 children of destiny had disappeared from the 5 domains mainland a century ago. Until moments ago, the aura of the 3 children of destiny re-emerged, and Lin Yuan immediately rushed over. Actually, Lin Yuan had no intention of killing the children of destiny. He was merely feigning a murderous intent to test the waters. Even if the world consciousness did not appear in the end, Lin Yuan intended to hold back. After all, the children of destiny are the favored ones of the heaven and earth's grand fate, the spokespersons of world consciousness, and killing them directly would be too wasteful. Rather, it was better to slowly refine the traces of grand fate from their bodies, which might prove useful to him. However, Lin Yuan was fortunate, as this slight probing managed to force the world consciousness into appearance. Lin Yuan speculated that the world consciousness valued these 3 children of destiny so much because it had invested a lot in them. If it were 100 years ago, these 3 children of destiny would only possess the strength of the 9th realm. Even if Lin Yuan decided to hunt them down, the world consciousness might not necessarily intervene. A child of destiny of the 9th realm, even if one died, cultivating another one wouldn't be difficult. But the 10th realm, especially these 3 children of destiny, being at the peak of the 10th realm, just a hair's breadth from the 11th realm, Lin Yuan even sensed a kind of homogeneous aura from them. If the 3 joined forces and stimulated the homogeneous aura within their bodies, they could utterly unleash the power of the peak of the 11th realm or even the 12th realm. To cultivate these 3 children of destiny, the world consciousness obviously had also invested a lot, and wouldn't allow them to die easily at the hands of Lin Yuan. State your demands. With pure golden eyes, Xiahou spoke in a flat tone. At this moment, his own consciousness was in a deep slumber, completely replaced by the world consciousness, making him the most powerful existence in this world. So powerful that even Lin Yuan couldn't match him. But the world consciousness isn't a living being. Everything it did had to follow rules, far from being as unrestrained as Lin Yuan. I want the martial Tao cultivation system to be eternally inherited in this world, thriving for tens of thousands of years. Lin Yuan spoke. Without the tacit approval of the world consciousness, even if Lin Yuan made many preparations, the martial Tao cultivation system would struggle to endure. Lin Yuan might not face any mishaps while he was present, but as soon as he left this world, under the suppression of the world consciousness, it might once again nurture another child of destiny specifically to eradicate the martial Tao cultivation system. Impossible! Xiaohua directly refused. As the absolute dominion of this world, he was very clear that the cultivation system from the first realm to the 10th realm was the most suitable for this world. As for the martial Tao cultivation system, while not weaker than the native cultivation system, the world consciousness faintly realized that allowing this path to rise in the 5 domains was not a good thing. This cultivation system, which clearly bore the mark of a specific existence, could influence him if allowed to develop over a long period. Compared to the 3rd world that Lin Yuan traveled through, the Divine Arms world, this world's world consciousness was much more intact, able to make decisions that were most beneficial for itself. Impossible, Lin Yuan's expression remained unchanged. Since the world consciousness hadn't immediately left, it indicated that there was still room for negotiation, and Lin Yuan's initial demand was rather steep, yet there was still significant room to step back. Outside the purple bamboo forest, Yang Bixin and Shun Lang's faces were pale. When the world consciousness descended into Xiaohua, it casually threw them out. Clearly, it didn't want these two to overhear the direct conversation between Lin Yuan and itself. Lin Yuan had no objection to this. Xiaohui, Yang Bixin's lips trembled slightly. The power of Xiahou Yuan, that formidable devil, far exceeded their imagination. Before meeting Xiahou Yuan, the 3 of them were full of ambition, devising a series of plans. Such as what to do if Xiahou Yuan struck first, what to do if they attacked first, and how to save themselves if they couldn't defeat Xiahou Yuan, among others. However, when they actually faced Xiahou Yuan, the 3 realized how naive their ideas were. Ambition? A series of plans? No amount of preparation could bridge the gap in absolute power. In front of Xiahou Yuan, the 3 were like ants waiting for judgment, incapable of any other action. If it weren't for Xiaohua at the end. At that thought, Yang Bixin and Shun Lang exchanged glances. As powerhouses at the peak of the 10th realm, they were certainly far inferior to Xiahou Yuan, but they could instantly determine that Xiaohua was replaced by the world consciousness. They also realized that Xiaohua seemed like a different person. And Xiaohua's transformation directly caused Xiahou Yuan to stop and even expelled them, not allowing them to hear the conversation between the two. Could it be? Shun Lang harbored a guess in his heart. He had received the heritage of an 11th realm powerhouse from 50,000 years ago, knew many secrets of the world, including descriptions of the world consciousness. Chapter 179 Trade, Crossing the Sea, and the 11th realms beyond the 5 domains _2. However, within the description of the 11th realm powerhouses, the world consciousness is referred to by another name. Heavenly Tao, or the Heavenly Lord. What should we do now? Yang Bixin asked in a low voice. She glanced toward the direction of the purple bamboo forest. At that moment, it appeared hazy, almost like another world. What should we do? Shen Lang thought for a moment and said helplessly, "Let's just wait here." He understood what Yang Bixin meant, questioning whether they should take the chance to leave. However, they had just emerged from the underground world, and in a brief moment, Xiahou Yuan appeared. This meant that it was extremely easy for Xiahou Yuan to find them. With Xiahou Yuan's strength, even if they took the chance to leave now, as long as he still harbored the intent to kill, they could not escape. Instead of that, it would be better to continue waiting and see how the conversation between the two inside concluded. If Xiahua persuaded Xiahou Yuan, they could justify not fleeing. If the persuasion failed, even if they fled to the ends of the earth, they would still face death. Upon hearing this, Yang Bixin fell silent. With her intelligence, she could think of these points too, yet she was too shocked and momentarily asked such a question. About half an hour later, under the watchful eyes of Yang Bixin and Shun Lang, the hazy space near the distant purple bamboo forest gradually became clearer. Seeing this, Yang Bixin and Shun Lang did not make any hasty moves but waited another 2 hours before mustering the courage to approach it. Soon, they found Xiaohua lying unconscious in the original spot. As for Xiahou Yuan, he had already vanished without a trace. The two quickly went forward, helped Xiaohua up, and began using their methods to treat his injuries. Not long after, Xiaohua slowly woke up. What happened? Xiaohua felt a splitting headache, as if some gigantic object had been stirring him for days and nights. Yang Bixin and Xun Lang immediately told him everything they knew. I felt like I had become a different person. Xiaohua steadied his mind and frowned in thought. The three conversed for a while longer. Unlike when they had just emerged from the underground world, Xiaohua and the others no longer dared mention Xiahou Yuan. Under the vast sky, Lin Yuan pondered deeply. He had just talked with the world consciousness for a bit over half an hour and had barely reached a consensus. The world consciousness promised to allow the martial Tao cultivation system to spread in this world, not directly or indirectly interfering with it. And this also met Lin Yuan's expectations. As long as the world consciousness didn't act against it in secrecy after his departure, Lin Yuan's contingency plan should ensure that the martial Tao cultivation system could be safely passed down for tens of thousands of years. And tens of thousands of years later? It was estimated that by then, a great number of people would have advanced far in the martial Tao cultivation system to ensure its ongoing legacy. Of course, the world consciousness made such a concession, also because Lin Yuan had made a promise. The Eye of the North Sea. Lin Yuan slightly lifted his head, staring into the distance toward the north. Accurately speaking, to the north of the endless sea domain. Over 100 years ago, Lin Yuan had felt that there was a black hole emerging there, ceaselessly devouring the primordial qi of this world. And this black hole was what the world consciousness referred to as the Eye of the North Sea. The Eye of the North Sea appeared in this world tens of thousands of years ago, suddenly. Since then, the primordial qi of heaven and earth began to slowly decline, losing the support of primordial qi, and the upper limit of the world gradually fell. The world consciousness also made efforts, and over tens of thousands of years, every time a 10th realm powerhouse was born in the 5 domains mainland, under its guidance, they went to the Eye of the North Sea to attempt to seal or suppress it. But the effect was minimal. At best, they could only prevent the Eye of the North Sea from expanding. Yet, every moment, the Eye of the North Sea continued to devour the primordial qi of this world. Lin Yuan also learned from the world consciousness that the place where the strongest gathered the most was not the 5 domains mainland. It was in the region of the Eye of the North Sea. For tens of thousands of years, the world consciousness, in an attempt to resolve the Eye of the North Sea, continually hinted at the strong to go there. Generation after generation, these powerhouses gradually settled in the region around the Eye of the North Sea. As a result, the region around the Eye of the North Sea was not lacking in 10th realm powerhouses, and there were even 11th realm powerhouses. The world consciousness must be cultivating those 3 sons of fortune, hoping to use them to suppress the Eye of the North Sea, Lin Yuan thought to himself. Combined, those 3 sons of fortune could unleash combat power at the peak of the 11th realm and even the 12th realm. Even in the region of the Eye of the North Sea, they would be considered among the top powerhouses. The Eye of the North Sea, Lin Yuan's eyes turned deep. His promise to the world consciousness was to do his best to repair the Eye of the North Sea but didn't guarantee success. However, even without the conversation with the world consciousness, Lin Yuan would have eventually made a trip to the Eye of the North Sea. After all, allowing the Eye of the North Sea to continue devouring the primordial qi of this world and causing the world's upper limit to decrease was detrimental to Lin Yuan. Cultivation would also be suppressed. Eventually, if it continued, one day, this world would be devoured. Then what Tao would Lin Yuan pass on, having painstakingly laid out the martial Tao cultivation system, only for it to be devoured along with the world? Let's go. Let's make a trip to the North Sea. Lin Yuan did not even return to the underground palace but flew directly north. Now in the 5 domains mainland, stability had been achieved. Even if there were remnants of power rebelling from 100 years ago, they could not affect the overall situation. Nuan Shu, Moyang Demon Lord, and others rigorously governed the 5 domains in accordance with the rules set by Lin Yuan, so major issues were unlikely. In the blink of an eye, Lin Yuan had left the range of the 5 domains. He arrived above the endless sea domain. Chapter 180 Trade, Crossing the Sea, and the 11th realms beyond the 5 domains understood. The terrifying wind and waves were blowing wildly, making it extremely difficult for ordinary warriors of the 6th and 7th realm to move even an inch. However, all the wind and waves calmed down completely within 100 yards of Lin Yuan. Above the stormy sea, the area near Lin Yuan appeared as though another world had formed. No wonder only those from the 10th realm are summoned by the world consciousness, Lin Yuan thought to himself. Even for warriors of the 9th realm, passing through this sea area would be challenging. North of the endless sea domain, a white tower stood tall. Atop the tower, a chubby man was sitting cross-legged. Only 20 more years, then I can go back and take a good rest. The chubby man sighed. Even a 10th realm powerhouse, sitting here for decades or centuries, would find it tedious in the company of the vast sea. I wonder when the eye of the North Sea will disappear. I've heard that in that direction, there's the 5 domains mainland, far larger and more vast than North Sea Island. The chubby man silently thought to himself. Having been born and lived on North Sea Island, he naturally longed for the so-called 5 domains mainland. It's just that Master Nalen and a few vice masters don't allow us to leave, the chubby man grimaced. Master Nalen and the vice masters are the 11th realm powerhouses of North Sea Island and the Endless Sea Domain, ruling high above, commanding many warriors to jointly suppress the eye of the North Sea. Huh! It seems like someone is coming? The chubby man seemed to have noticed something and immediately focused his gaze on a spot to the south. On the vast sea surface, a streak of escape light was approaching fast. Could it be a 10th realm powerhouse from the 5 domains mainland? The chubby man's eyes lit up. He had long known that, every once in a while, 10th realm powerhouses from the 5 domains would come to join the suppression of the eye of the North Sea. However, as time passed, the 10th realm powerhouses coming from the 5 domains seemed to decrease steadily. The most recent one arrived almost 10,000 years ago. I heard that these powerhouses from the 5 domains mainland are initially very arrogant and unbridled. Everything about them just needs a little reminder, the chubby man suddenly thought. The 10th realm powerhouses from the 5 domains mainland were generally invincible existences, extremely proud in nature. Suddenly arriving at North Sea Island, a place filled with strong warriors, they definitely found it hard to adapt. Swoosh! The chubby man flew up immediately, ready to greet the new arrival from the 10th realm and caution the newcomer not to make any mistakes on North Sea Island, especially not to offend those few. The chubby man was thinking when, just then, boom! Several streaks of escape light flew from behind. They were also flying toward the newly arrived 10th realm? Ah! The chubby man widened his eyes. Master Nalen and several vice masters. The chubby man took a deep breath, recognizing the escape lights coming from behind. They were indeed the 11th realm powerhouses of North Sea Island and the Endless Sea Domain. Does that person have a grudge with the master and vice masters? Seeing Master Nalen and several vice masters personally coming, the chubby man couldn't help but feel sorry for the new 10th realm arrival. However, the next moment, under the shocked gaze of the chubby man, Master Nalen and several vice masters flying toward the new 10th realm arrival suddenly stopped, and slightly bowed, respectfully saying to the new 10th realm, "We greet you, sir." Chapter 181 Sealing the Eye of the North Sea, 120 years later, subscription requested. Do you know me? Lin Yuan immediately understood. It must be the world consciousness that notified the powerful beings around the eye of the North Sea. The world consciousness is aloof. Even 9th realm and 10th realm powerhouses do not have the qualifications to contact it. If it weren't for the fact that Xiao Hua and the other 2 were about to die by Lin Yuan's hand, the world consciousness would not have descended. But it was different for the 11th realm powerhouses. The 11th realm powerhouses can be said to be the limit of this world. For hundreds of thousands of years, the strongest were only at the 11th realm. Lin Yuan had made a deal with the world consciousness to come here and try to resolve the hidden dangers of the eye of the North Sea. The world consciousness naturally made prior arrangements with the 11th realm powerhouses in this area to prevent any mistaken incidents. Yes, Master Nalen and several vice masters said respectfully. At this moment, Master Nalen's mind was shaken. It was not long ago that he received the directive from the Heavenly Tao, instructing him and his people to welcome an important figure. A person who might completely resolve the issue with the Eye of the North Sea. Under the directive of the Heavenly Tao, they all had to obey this person without any dissenting thoughts. In short, after this person's arrival, the several 11th realm individuals and many 10th realm powerhouses on North Sea Island were all subject to this person's commands. Although Master Nalen found this puzzling, he could only comply. Very good. Lin Yuan nodded slightly. He was quite satisfied in his heart. The world consciousness of this world had considered everything thoroughly. But then again, given that this related to the future of this heavenly earth, the world consciousness would naturally try its best to avoid any accidents. However, Lin Yuan looked around. The farther north he went, the more Lin Yuan could feel the concentration of heavenly earth vital energy increasing. Here, it was almost 10 times that of the 5 domains mainland. This was not hard to understand. For hundreds of thousands of years, the Eye of the North Sea had acted like a black hole, devouring heavenly earth primordial chi from all directions. This caused the concentration of heavenly earth vital energy in the 5 domains mainland to continuously decline. Where did all the heavenly earth vital energy go? Naturally, it went into the mouth of the Eye of the North Sea. However, as the Eye of the North Sea consumed massive amounts of heavenly earth vital energy, the concentration of vital energy around it naturally rose dramatically. Just like a long river flowing into the sea, as the water flows into the ocean, it irrigates numerous fields along both banks. Lin Yuan speculated that the concentration of heavenly earth vital energy where he was now was close to the peak from hundreds of thousands of years ago. This level of primordial chi concentration increased the closer one was to the Eye of the North Sea. No wonder there are so many at the 10th and 11th realms. Lin Yuan thought to himself. In the 5 domains mainland, a 10th realm powerhouse might be born every thousands or tens of thousands of years, and as for the 11th realm, there has been none for 50,000 years. If not for the few ancient records, perhaps people would think the 11th realm was a legend. Yet near the Eye of the North Sea, Lin Yuan could sense the presences of dozens of 10th realm powerhouses and 6 11th realm powerhouses. Among them were Master Nalen and the 5 vice masters. Master Nalen's strength was at the peak of the 11th realm, only a half step away from the 12th realm. If so many powerful beings were to emerge, it undoubtedly required an extremely high environmental demand. However, with the rich heavenly earth vital energy here, under the beckoning of the Eye of the North Sea, the thriving of so many powerful beings by converging all the world's primordial chi here is not unthinkable. Lead me to the Eye of the North Sea. After asking a few casual questions, Lin Yuan directly said, "This way, sir." Master Nalen immediately led the way for Lin Yuan personally. The other 5 vice masters also closely followed. The group then headed towards the location of the Eye of the North Sea. In the distance, a plump man just watched as Lin Yuan, surrounded by Master Nalen and the 5 vice masters, headed towards the direction of North Sea Island. Why are the master and vice masters so respectful? The plump man couldn't believe it. Had it not been for seeing it with his own eyes, he could hardly imagine that the usually authoritative Master Nalen and the 5 vice masters would exhibit such a servile side. Who is that person? The plump man's concentration once again focused on Lin Yuan. Initially, the plump man thought Lin Yuan was a newcomer from the 5 domains mainland at the 10th realm. But now, it seemed his assumption was massively mistaken. A mere newcomer at the 10th realm wouldn't cause a stir even for him, let alone for Master Nalen and the vice masters. If only I didn't have 20 more years of my guard duty, I would definitely follow and investigate. The plump man sighed. He was obligated to guard the tower for this century and couldn't leave. Under the guidance of Master Nalen and the 5 vice masters, Lin Yuan soon arrived in front of an island. To call it an island would be an understatement. It was more like a small continent. Although it couldn't compare with the 5 domains, it was home to several hundred million of the human race. The auras of the dozens of 10th realm powerhouses Lin Yuan had sensed earlier came mostly from this island. This island, we all call it North Sea Island, Master Nalen explained by his side. The eye of the North Sea is over there. Master Nalen raised his hand and pointed. In the north of North Sea Island, a faint black line was visible. If one looked closely, it would appear as a deep abyss-like void. Every moment, an immense amount of heavenly earth vital energy surged into this void. So, Master Nalen led Lin Yuan to the front of the eye of the North Sea. Compared to viewing it from a distance, being close to the eye of the North Sea was even more awe-inspiring. It resembled a crack in the world, pitch black as night. Chapter 182 Sealing the Eye of the North Sea, 120 years later, subscription requested, _2. Around 800,000 miles in radius, Lin Yuan roughly estimated the range of the Eye of the North Sea. The Eye of the North Sea expands slowly on a regular basis, and 9 10th realm warriors are enough to guard it. But every 100 years, the Eye of the North Sea will expand wildly for a period. At that time, along with several deputy island lords, will take action and operate the sealing skill to suppress, but it's of little use. The Eye of the North Sea is still slowly expanding. I remember thousands of years ago, the Eye of the North Sea was only 750,000 miles in radius, now it's approaching 800,000 miles. As Master Nalen said this, a trace of worry appeared on his face. Following this trend, in another 100,000 years, the Eye of the North Sea will expand to a radius of 2 million miles. At that time, with the Eye of the North Sea displaying an attitude of devouring heaven and earth, they, even if sacrificing their lives, would not be able to suppress and contain it as they can now. I see. Lin Yuan nodded slightly, having a clear understanding in his heart. Bring me all the secret techniques you use to seal the Eye of the North Sea to examine. From Lin Yuan's observations, the few 10th realm warriors guarding the 4 directions of the Eye of the North Sea were employing suppression techniques that had a very good restraining effect on the Eye of the North Sea. Although the Eye of the North Sea was still slowly expanding, under the suppression of the secret techniques, the speed of expansion was noticeably slower. Lin Yuan speculated that this suppression technique might come from the world consciousness, and even if not, it was formed under the covert guidance of the world consciousness. This is the secret technique used to suppress the Eye of the North Sea. Without hesitation, Master Nalen took out a jade stone which recorded the secret technique Lin Yuan had spoken of. To suppress the Eye of the North Sea as much as possible, Master Nalen had already disseminated this technique widely. Even if Lin Yuan didn't ask for it, once back on North Sea Island he could easily obtain it. Thank you. Lin Yuan accepted the jade stone. Lin Yuan returned to North Sea Island with Master Nalen. Suppressing the Eye of the North Sea was not something that could be done overnight. To Lin Yuan, visiting the Eye with Master Nalen and then returning to the island was nothing out of the ordinary. North Sea Island. A great cave mansion. This cave mansion was the one with the most abundant primordial chi on the entire North Sea Island. It should have belonged to Master Nalen, but with Lin Yuan's arrival, it was naturally to be occupied by Lin Yuan for the time being. This is really comfortable. Lin Yuan took a deep breath and a large amount of the heavenly earth vital energy, which had condensed to substantial form, flowed into his nostrils. Although for someone at Lin Yuan's level, this amount of heavenly earth vital energy was a drop in the bucket, compared to the barren, 5 domains mainland, it was undoubtedly dozens, no hundreds of times better. All right. Time to get down to business. Lin Yuan's expression became slightly more serious. From his observation during the day, Lin Yuan knew that the Eye of the North Sea was beyond the power of humans to contend with. Even if Lin Yuan were more powerful, he could not directly resolve the situation with the Eye of the North Sea. The best method, just like what Master Nalen and others were doing, was to use the sealing skill to suppress the expansion of the Eye of the North Sea. With this in mind, Lin Yuan's consciousness merged with the jade stone, beginning to browse the sealing skill. The Eye sealing skill. The name is pretty straightforward. Lin Yuan glanced over the name of the secret technique and shook his head slightly. The eye sealing skill was divided into 4 levels. Entry, minor accomplishment, major accomplishment, perfection. Generally, only those who cultivated this secret technique to the state of major accomplishment were qualified to go and suppress the Eye of the North Sea. Like Master Nalen and the 5 deputy island lords, they had cultivated this technique to the state of perfection. Lin Yuan began to repeatedly observe this secret technique. Your comprehension is against heaven's understanding, observing the secret technique, eye sealing skill, and you have comprehended the innate eye sealing skill. Several days later, Lin Yuan comprehended the innate eye sealing skill from the original eye sealing skill. Beihado. Another, a great cave mansion. Master Nalen and the 5 deputy island lords sat facing each other. That person, what exactly is his background? One of the deputy island lords couldn't help but ask. They didn't doubt the instructions of the heavenly Tao for a moment. It was just that Lin Yuan came from the side of the 5 domains mainland. In their eyes, the heavenly earth vital energy of the 5 domains mainland was long since mostly drained by the Eye of the North Sea. It was extremely difficult to even give birth to a 10th realm warrior, so how could someone possibly emerge who could completely resolve the existential threat posed by the Eye of the North Sea? Are you questioning? Master Nalen glanced at that deputy island lord. Not at all, not at all. I'm just curious. The deputy island lord quickly shook his head. What a joke. Who dares question the will of the heavenly Tao? There's no need to be curious. Since we have received the heavenly Tao's instructions, our full cooperation with that person is imperative. There's no need for further thought. Doing our best is all that's required. Master Nalen said indifferently. Upon hearing this, the other vice masters immediately cast their eyes downward and fell silent. Exactly how should we cooperate? After issuing the warning, even Master Nalen couldn't help but mutter to himself. From receiving Lin Yuan until now, the latter had behaved in a perfectly regular manner. From every aspect, he didn't seem to have the capability to solve the Eye of the North Sea issue thoroughly. Half a month later, Lin Yuan followed Master Nalen to the Eye of the North Sea once again. Gazing at the pitch-black void of the Eye of the North Sea, Lin Yuan's gaze was calm. After half a month of comprehension, with his against heaven's understanding, Lin Yuan had not only cultivated the eye sealing skill to the state of perfection, he had also founded the innate eye sealing skill and flawless innate eye sealing skill based on that secret technique. In particular, the flawless innate eye sealing skill was many times more ingenious than the original eye sealing skill. Of course, the flawless innate eye sealing skill required cultivation above the 15th realm to be activated. That's also why, for tens of thousands of years, the practitioners of the 10th and 11th realms of the North Sea Island had always used the eye sealing skill. It was certainly because their understanding fell far behind Lin Yuan's. Another reason was that, with their strength, they were utterly unable to promote the transformation and fundamental change of the eye sealing skill. All right. Have them all withdraw. From today onward, the Eye of the North Sea is in my hands. Lin Yuan spoke up. At these words, Master Nalen's pupils shrank slightly. Ordinarily, guarding the Eye of the North Sea required at least 9 10th realm powerhouses to stand guard from every angle and direction. In doing so, they could contain the Eye of the North Sea's expansion as much as possible. But now, if Lin Yuan made the 9 10th realm powerhouses withdraw, wouldn't that leave the Eye of the North Sea to expand unchecked? It wasn't that Master Nalen doubted Lin Yuan's strength, but the Eye of the North Sea was too huge, spanning a full 800,000 miles in radius, and the strength of a single person simply couldn't cover it all. My lord, a vice master at the side was about to speak up and dissuade. Do as he says. After pondering for a moment, Master Nalen directly instructed. Yes. The other vice masters, seeing this, immediately stood up and cleared out the 10th realm powerhouses from around the Eye of the North Sea. As they ceased their guard, the diffusion of the Eye of the North Sea noticeably sped up. My lord. Upon seeing this, Master Nalen's heart bled internally. Given the current size of the Eye of the North Sea, even if it expanded by a meter, the rate at which it devoured the heavenly earth vital energy would dramatically increase. This is bad. The eye of the North Sea is beginning to expand wildly. The Vice Master who first spoke seemed to sense something and his face turned pale. However, before he could say anything more, he witnessed an unthinkable scene. Lin Yuan, who had been standing beside them, instead of backing away, suddenly took a step forward and swiftly ascended above the eye of the North Sea. Immediately after, he released his radiant Yang spirit and wandering Yin spirit, his formidable Taiyin primordial spirit and Taiyang divine spirit, tens of thousands of feet tall, stood at either end of the eye of the North Sea, while he himself sat enthroned above it. An overwhelming suppression power surged out, enveloping the entire eye of the North Sea, preventing it from expanding even an inch, no matter how much it tried to. Even as time passed, the eye of the North Sea was actually shrinking. The Vice Masters were dumbstruck. For tens of thousands of years, the eye of the North Sea had always been expanding, and no matter how hard they tried, it had never diminished in the slightest. The world has been saved. Master Nalen looked up at the figure above the two monumental primordial spirits and murmured to himself. Such rich heavenly earth vital energy. Atop the eye of the North Sea, Lin Yuan felt enveloped by boundless heavenly earth vital energy. Throughout the suppression of the eye of the North Sea, the heavenly earth vital energy from the entire world hadn't dissipated, but continued to flow towards the eye of the North Sea. However, since the eye of the North Sea was suppressed and couldn't absorb the heavenly earth vital energy, it naturally all went to Lin Yuan. Time slowly passed. In the blink of an eye, 120 years had passed. Chapter 183 Return, please subscribe. North Sea Island. The 10th Realm powerhouses chatted leisurely, occasionally glancing at the eye of the North Sea, which had shrunk to 100 meters across. Over these 100+ years, their lives had been both comfortable and shocking. It was comforting that they no longer had to guard the eye of the North Sea and didn't have to face the profound depths that seemed as unfathomable as the abyss. And watching the eye of the North Sea shrink day by day was a pleasure to their spirits. As for the shock, it all came from one person. The mysterious superior being who surpassed their tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of years of achievements with his own power alone. Over these 100+ years, that mysterious superior being sat above the eye of the North Sea, his two primordial spirits having reached 1,000,000 zhang tall, each standing on opposite ends of the eye of the North Sea. I'm telling you, I almost personally received the superior being. If it wasn't for Master Nalen and the Vice Masters taking the limelight, I probably would have been the first to speak with the superior being, a chubby man boasted proudly, not mentioning his initial thought, which was to remind Lin Yuan to keep a low profile when coming to North Sea Island. Who knows what background this superior being comes from, how such a powerful being was born. A slim 10th Realm powerhouse couldn't help but mutter. True dragons can't be raised in shallow waters. This is common knowledge to cultivators. But the mysterious superior being who completely suppressed the eye of the North Sea, relative to them, was much more than a true dragon, wasn't he? Let alone the superior being himself, just the 2,000,000 zhang tall primordial spirits he had sent out made them tremble in their hearts and minds. All right, Master Nalen and the Vice Masters have already said not to discuss the superior being in private. Violators will be punished, a stern-looking 10th Realm powerhouse said in a low voice. I was just saying, I didn't speak ill of the superior being. The slim 10th Realm powerhouse immediately shook his head. Besides, if Master Nalen and the Vice Masters forbid us from discussing him, do you think they don't talk about that mysterious superior being themselves? He couldn't help but say. If Master Nalen and the Vice Masters have forbidden it, they definitely abide by it themselves, spoke the stern-looking 10th Realm powerhouse earnestly. What do you think, how strong is the superior being? 14th Realm? Or 15th Realm? Inside the Behedo, a great cave mansion, Master Nalen and several Vice Masters also gazed in the direction of the eye of the North Sea. One of the Vice Masters thus expressed his astonishment. The higher their strength and realm, the more they could feel the terror of Lin Yuan, such a dreadfully powerful force, far transcending the limits of this world, curbed any thought of resistance in them. Not sure, but I think, the superior being must have already transcended the divisions of realms. The heights at which the superior being resides are indescribable and incomprehensible to us, said another vice master in a low voice. No wonder Heavenly Tao hinted that we should comply and heed the superior being's words. A third vice master pondered with a contemplative expression. Master Nalen looked calmly at the distant eye of the North Sea. Most of his time over the past 100+ years had been spent watching the eye of the North Sea slowly vanish, and Master Nalen's concerns faded little by little. After our generation, countless generations of descendants will never have to face the threat of the eye of the North Sea. Master Nalen's awe for Lin Yuan grew greater, almost to the point of outright reverence. It's just, there was always one doubt in Master Nalen's heart. Why was the heavenly earth vital energy still flowing unceasingly towards the North Sea even though the eye of the North Sea had been completely sealed? Above the eye of the North Sea, Lin Yuan sat cross-legged. Ever since the eye of the North Sea had shrunk to 10,000 li, he recalled his yin god and yang spirit back into his body because he alone could suppress the eye of the North Sea at this scale. This is really comfortable. Lin Yuan looked quite pleased. He didn't fully suppress the eye of the North Sea but left a small gap, allowing it to continue inhaling and exhaling the heavenly earth vital energy of this world. As the boundless heavenly earth vital energy arrived here, it was naturally snatched up by Lin Yuan for cultivation. In other words, for these 120 years, the eye of the North Sea had been working entirely for Lin Yuan, gaining not the slightest benefit and continually shrinking. 18th realm. Lin Yuan breathed out softly. By then he had reached the 18th realm. Of course, the 18th realm is a term from this world. According to the Human Civilization Alliance of the main world, it would be considered 6th rank, 12th level. What a pity, stepping into the 6th rank isn't something that can be solved just with primordial qi, Lin Yuan mused silently. In the main world, advancing from the 5th to the 6th rank is harder than the combined difficulty of advancing from the 1st to the 5th rank. The 5th rank is the continent sinking rank, while the 6th rank is the fallen star level. A qualitative change exists between them, and bridging that gap is no easy feat. While there is the 4th rank as a cushion between the 3rd rank city destroyer grade and the 5th rank continent sinking rank, there is no such cushion between the 5th and 6th rank. The evolver must break through on their own. Even with a complete evolution path to guide them, it is incredibly challenging for ordinary evolvers, let alone Lin Yuan, the founder of the martial Tao evolutionary path. Although Lin Yuan had many evolution paths for reference, including those transcending the 6th rank and even the extremely mysterious Xian Huang evolutionary path, taking reference is one thing, but continuing to create the 6th rank chapter of the martial path evolutionary path is another matter entirely. It's about time. Lin Yuan glanced at the eye of the North Sea beneath him. In fact, Lin Yuan had the power to completely seal the eye of the North Sea already 30 to 40 years ago. Chapter 184 Return, please subscribe. _2 However, in order to continue enjoying the vast heavenly earth vital energy brought by the inhalation and exhalation of the eye of the North Sea, Lin Yuan had forcibly dragged on until now. It seemed that the world consciousness of this realm had noticed, but it had no way to intervene. The world consciousness still relied on Lin Yuan to deal with the eye of the North Sea, so it was impossible to fall out with him at this time. Only now, Lin Yuan had already reached the 12th segment of the 5th rank, and his subsequent cultivation had little to do with the external primordial qi. Moreover, with only a little more than 10 years remaining until his stay limit, there was no need to continue lingering here. Suppress. With this thought, Lin Yuan looked down at the 100-meter radius of the eye of the North Sea below. Boom boom boom. Under the terrifying suppression, once again, it cascaded downward. The 100-meter-wide eye of the North Sea immediately began to shrink again. 90 meters. 80 meters. 70 meters. Just as the eye of the North Sea had shrunk to 10 meters. A terrifying consciousness pierced through the eye of the North Sea, reaching Lin Yuan's ear. Cease your actions. This terrifying consciousness emitted psychic fluctuations that allowed Lin Yuan to intuitively understand the meaning it conveyed. Cease your actions? Lin Yuan let out a slight smile, unconcerned. Over the years, he had long surmised that behind the Eye of the North Sea stood a powerful being. Because when he observed the Eye of the North Sea carefully, with his against heaven's understanding, he would occasionally enlighten himself to some devouring secret techniques. Of course, these devouring secret techniques were not comparable to the devouring heaven evolution path, but it was obvious that they belonged to the unique skills of some powerful existences. Lin Yuan originally thought that the existence behind the Eye of the North Sea would remain silent until it was completely suppressed. Only he did not expect that the other party would ultimately lose patience. As long as you cease your actions, everything is negotiable. The terrifying consciousness sounded somewhat urgent. We can make a deal. The terrifying consciousness continued to emit psychic fluctuations. I'm not interested in deals. Lin Yuan did not cease his suppression, and the Eye of the North Sea continued to shrink. To be precise, Lin Yuan had little interest in making deals where there was too great a disparity between the parties. The existence behind the Eye of the North Sea was at least a powerhouse beyond the 6th rank, and making deals with such a being was akin to negotiating with a tiger for its skin. Who knew when he might fall into the other party's hands? Lin Yuan was willing to make deals with the world consciousness because the world consciousness was not a sentient being, without emotions like joy, anger, sorrow, or personal feelings. Moreover, Lin Yuan had means to contend with the world consciousness if necessary. In the worst-case scenario, he could just destroy this world, and nobody would benefit. But the existence behind the Eye of the North Sea? Lin Yuan didn't think he had any means to restrain it. Instead of worrying about fear, it was better to avoid contact altogether. Boom boom boom. The Eye of the North Sea continued to shrink. 5 meters. 3 meters. 1 meter. At last, the terrifying consciousness that originated from the depths of the Eye of the North Sea began to curse. An invisible psychic attack swiftly penetrated Lin Yuan's primordial spirit. Unfortunately, Lin Yuan's Yin spirit and Yang spirit had united as one, forming the Taiji primordial spirit, immensely stable, augmented by the psychic defense secret technique, Mind Palace Tower. Faced with a psychic attack that originated from the depths of the Eye of the North Sea, its power unknowably weakened by many times, he naturally had nothing to fear. Ultimately, several days later, the Eye of the North Sea shrank to a speck finer than a strand of hair. With a slight motion of Lin Yuan's mind, the speck fell into his hand. With such a size, the Eye of the North Sea no longer posed any threat. It couldn't even perform the inhalation and exhalation of heavenly earth vital energy anymore. Whoosh! Lin Yuan's figure vanished. He appeared above North Sea Island. By this time, Master Nalen, along with the 5 deputy island masters and many 10th realm individuals, had long been waiting in their place. When the Eye of the North Sea continued to shrink down to 10 meters, Master Nalen and the others realized that the greatest threat looming over countless powerhouses in this world might become a thing of the past. Therefore, they had led everyone to wait here early on. After all, once the Eye of the North Sea was fully dealt with, the mysterious powerful individual would naturally appear. You have lived here for thousands, tens of thousands of years. Lin Yuan looked towards Master Nalen and the other powerhouses. The thousands, tens of thousands of years here referred not to a single generation but to generations upon generations. Since hundreds of thousands of years ago, when the Eye of the North Sea first appeared, under the implications of the world consciousness, one powerful being after another arrived here. After hundreds of thousands of years of proliferation, even Master Nalen was a descendant of some of the early generations of powerhouses. However, everyone will need to continue staying for another 500 years before you can go to the 5 domains, Lin Yuan said indifferently, surveying his surroundings. Currently, the demonic Tao forces that Lin Yuan had left on the 5 domains mainland were enough to suppress everything. But if the powerhouses from North Sea Island were to swarm into the 5 domains, it would be a different story. Dozens of 10th realm powerhouses and 6 11th realm powerhouses could completely disrupt the situation in the 5 domains. Therefore, Lin Yuan set a 500-year period for everyone. With this buffer time, Losing the inhalation and exhalation of the eye of the North Sea, the 5 domains heavenly earth vital energy will recover, and it's possible for some 10th or even 11th realm powerhouses to emerge after 500 years. Yes, Master Nalen and the other powerhouses agreed without hesitation. They had managed to wait for thousands, tens of thousands of years. Naturally, a mere 500 years was not a problem. In that case, with a wave of his hand, Lin Yuan sent out specks of light that flew into the foreheads of each powerful being. These specks of light were formulated by Lin Yuan using the aura of the North Sea Island combined with his own power. If anyone left the boundaries of the North Sea Island region, it would trigger the light to self-destruct. Remember, you can go to the 5 domains only after 500 years, Lin Yuan reminded them once more before his figure disappeared from view. 5 domains. Chapter 185 Return, please subscribe, _3 Great Xia Empire. For 120 years, Nuan Shu and the various demon lords, strictly following Lin Yuan's instructions, governed the 5 domains in an orderly manner. And thus, they established a vast empire, named the Great Xia Empire. The Xia here is taken from the word Xia in Xiahou Yuan's surname. Great Xia Empire. Imperial Palace. Nuan Shu rubbed her brow, her expression revealing weariness. The Great Xia Empire had no emperor, only 12 ministers assisting the state, led by Nuan Shu, formerly under the command of Demon Venerable Xiahou Yuan. The concentration of heavenly earth vital energy is increasing again? Nuan Shu walked to the window, murmuring to herself. Over the years, she too had stepped into the 9th realm, and with her keen senses, she had naturally noticed that across the entire mainland of the 5 domains, the heavenly earth vital energy was slowly becoming more concentrated. In the future, the heavenly earth vital energy will continue to increase until 50 years from now, when it recovers to the environment from hundreds of thousands of years ago. Just then, a deep voice suddenly sounded, startling Nuan Shu. When Nuan Shu turned around and saw the owner of the voice, her eyes immediately began to redden. "My lord!" Nuan Shu immediately knelt down, speaking excitedly. "Rise." Lin Yuan shook his head. "These 10 tokens contain the power I have left behind." No sooner had Lin Yuan's words fallen than 10 wooden tokens floated in front of Nuan Shu. "In the future, should you face an insolvable predicament, you may shatter a token, and then the power within the token will grant you temporary strength of the 13th realm," Lin Yuan said indifferently. This was also the safeguard Lin Yuan had left for the Great Xia Empire. Even if hundreds of thousands or millions of years passed, the power of the 13th realm would still be able to sweep away and crush everything. Yes, with some hesitation, Nuan Shu couldn't help but ask, "My lord, are you leaving us?" The words Lin Yuan said had led Nuan Shu to an unsettling speculation. With Lin Yuan's strength, why would he need to leave tokens as a last resort if he were still in the world? Where in the world is there no separation? Lin Yuan shook his head, clearly consenting. "Then where are you going, my lord?" Nuan Shu gathered her courage to ask. "Where to?" Lin Yuan pondered for a moment. "From whence I came, there I shall return." Lin Yuan's figure vanished, leaving behind only Nuan Shu still kneeling on the ground, her face a portrait of confusion. Southern Domain. In the midst of a dense forest, the figure of Lin Yuan appeared. Lin Yuan glanced. He noticed at a distant mountain village, Xiaohua, Shenlang, and Yang Bixin, disguised as commoners, were playing with children there. "Ah, the children of destiny," Lin Yuan sighed. If it weren't for him, Xiaohua, Shenlang, and Yang Bixin would probably have become the most dazzling trio in the 5 domains mainland. After all, these 3 were favored by the world's consciousness, intended to be the principal force to resolve the Eye of the North Sea. But now, these 3 were clearly stricken hard by Lin Yuan, directly retreating to live in seclusion in a remote forest. Western Domain. In the midst of a desert, Lin Yuan sat cross-legged on the sand. "It's time to leave." Lin Yuan let his thoughts wander. This moment was only a short while away from the end of his time here. Martial Tao. Lin Yuan's perception spread infinitely, faintly feeling the force of life carried by the martial Dao cultivators spread across the 5 domains mainland. If one day, the martial Tao cultivation system disappears from this world, Lin Yuan suddenly murmured to himself, then a second eye of the North Sea will appear. Lin Yuan's thoughts flickered slightly and the eye of the North Sea, fine as a strand of hair, appeared before him. Then he swallowed it in one gulp. Next, he began sinking into the desert, sinking continuously, without end. Meanwhile, on the other side of the desert, heavenly earth vital energy coalesced, forming a figure. This figure had eyes of pure gold, lofty and aloof, cold and unfeeling. It glanced at the spot where Lin Yuan had sunk in, then its form once again turned into heavenly earth vital energy and disappeared on the spot. Chapter 186 Chikuan Star Lord. I just went into seclusion, and you're already 5th rank? Please subscribe, Main World. Kanglin Star, Central Continent Manor. In a daze, Lin Yuan opened his eyes. Back already? As consciousness returned, Lin Yuan quickly woke up. Nearly 20 days have passed. Lin Yuan checked the time. 300 years had passed in the 5 regions world, but only half a month had gone by in the main world. The final arrangement. Lin Yuan stepped out of the nutrition pod, went to the balcony, leaned on the railing, and fell into deep thought. Before leaving the 5 domains mainland for the last time, Lin Yuan left a contingency with his own body. It was that if one day his body no longer sensed the unique vital energy fluctuations emitted by the martial Tao cultivators on the 5 domains mainland, then the body submerged beneath the endless desert of the western domain would self-destruct. In the 5 regions world, Lin Yuan's strength before departure was at the 18th realm. Converted to the main world's realms, that would be the 5th rank, 12th segment. Such level of powerhouses, with the vast energy contained within their bodies, if they self-destructed, then it's estimated that the entire Western domain continent would fall into ruin and collapse. It might even affect the other domains' continents. Of course, to the high and mighty world consciousness, losing a few continents would have no impact, but before leaving, Lin Yuan transformed the eye of the North Sea into a black speck as thin as a strand of hair and swallowed it as well. Once his body exploded, the terrifying release of energy might very well tear that speck open again, forming a new eye of the North Sea. When that happened, whether the world consciousness could find a second Lin Yuan was highly doubtful. This was also the final warning Lin Yuan left for the world consciousness. Keep your promises, or we all go down together. As for whether the world consciousness could perceive Lin Yuan's warning, after leaving the eye of the North Sea, Lin Yuan vaguely felt a sense of being watched. That was the world consciousness. To the 5 regions world, Lin Yuan was a world-ending level threat, and was always under the focus of world consciousness wherever he went. Therefore, the last few words Lin Yuan said to himself, others couldn't hear, but the world consciousness definitely could. Even to make the world consciousness understand, Lin Yuan purposely took out that black speck from the eye of the North Sea and swallowed it again right in front of it. This dimensional travel, Lin Yuan began to examine himself, organizing the gains from this travel. First off, it was the realm of strength. From the 4th rank 12th segment to the current 5th rank 12th segment, he had crossed an entire great realm, giving Lin Yuan's strength a qualitative leap. Next was the comprehension of other evolution paths. In addition to the Xian Huang evolutionary path, Lin Yuan had comprehended more than 100 evolution paths in the 7-star cave world, including those 16 that surpassed the 6th rank. Lin Yuan had already grasped them all. He had even comprehended the 5th rank chapter of the Xian Huang evolutionary path and was now pondering this 6th rank chapter. This Xian Huang evolutionary path. Lin Yuan's expression turned contemplative. Even with his against heaven's understanding, after pondering for 300 years, he had only reached the 5th rank chapter. How could other evolvers comprehend it? Lin Yuan speculated. There were 2 possible ways to cultivate the Xian Huang evolutionary path. One was that the evolvers suited for the Xian Huang evolutionary path might comprehend it at an inconceivably fast rate. It should be noted that Lin Yuan wasn't actually suitable for the Xian Huang evolutionary path. His understanding of it was purely forced, a mere entry forced by his against heaven's understanding. The other possibility was that comprehending the Xian Huang evolutionary path required some auxiliary item. Lacking such an item, Lin Yuan's comprehension was so slow. Lin Yuan felt the latter was more likely. Or perhaps both possibilities existed. After the Qikuan Star Lord took him as a disciple, he only gave a brief explanation before going back into seclusion. He hadn't had the time to explain in detail the origins and cultivation methods of the Xian Huang evolutionary path to Lin Yuan. Of course, it was also possible that the Qikuan Star Lord never imagined Lin Yuan's progress would be so rapid. Never mind that. As long as I can comprehend it, that's good enough. Lin Yuan pondered for a moment and decided not to think too much about it. After all, the Xian Huang evolutionary path had indeed helped him greatly. The martial path evolutionary path had been smoothly developed to the 5th rank 12th segment, and the Xian Huang evolutionary path, along with other evolution paths, had played a significant role. Even the forthcoming 6th rank, or even the 7th rank, these evolution paths had given Lin Yuan plenty of inspiration and direction. 6th rank, Lin Yuan muttered to himself. Since he had reached the 5th rank 12th segment, naturally the next consideration was the 6th rank. In the main World Human Civilization Alliance, the transition from 5th rank to 6th rank was a watershed. Below the 6th rank, as long as there were sufficient conditions, evolvers could freely change their evolution paths. For example, Lu Lan He from the Thunder Rain Star region replicated his physique to change from one evolution path to another. Or like some cosmic rare treasures that once ingested would cleanse many evolution marks on the body, returning it to its initial state and allowing a choice to cultivate a new evolution path. But reaching the 6th rank, the evolution path seeps into the soul, and changing it becomes no easy task. Even if a great price is paid to switch the evolution path, one can only switch to a similar source evolution path. For instance, a water system 6th rank evolver who wants to change paths can, at most, switch to another water system evolution path. As for cultivating a fire system evolution path, impossible. So, before cultivating to the 6th rank, one must be prudent. Because once at the 6th rank, some aspects become irreversible. First, restore my strength. Lin Yuan had already grasped a rough direction for the 6th rank, but the specifics of how to develop the martial path evolutionary path's 6th rank chapter still required careful consideration. Chapter 187 Qikuan Star Lord. I just closed the gate for a bit, and you're already 5th rank? Subscribe please. _2 bang. Lin Yuan returned to his room. He took out the bottle of Scarlet Spirit Liquid. This was a privilege exclusively for the peak masters of the Red Kuan lineage. As a disciple of the Qikuan Star Lord, Lin Yuan didn't need to waste time on basic energy accumulation. As long as he reached the realm required, he could directly transform his physical soul with the Scarlet Spirit Liquid. Before the 4th traverse, Lin Yuan had applied for a bottle of Scarlet Spirit Liquid as preparation for this moment. Gulp, gulp. Lin Yuan picked up the bottle of Scarlet Spirit Liquid. He tilted his head back and started drinking. While breaking through from 4th rank level 11 to 4th rank level 12, Lin Yuan dared only to consume a drop of Scarlet Spirit Liquid. Any more would be a tremendous waste, despite the mild energy of the Scarlet Spirit Liquid not causing his physical body to burst. But now, from 4th rank to 5th rank, an entire great realm, a single drop of Scarlet Spirit Liquid was naturally far from enough for Lin Yuan. With a breath, as a great amount of Scarlet Spirit Liquid entered, it transformed into vast volumes of mild power, which Lin Yuan quickly absorbed. Physical body. So, both were transforming at an extraordinarily fast pace. 1 or 2 days later, outside the main building of the manor, Ho Ming was meticulously scanning his surroundings. As the captain of the guard for the 13th Peak Master of the Red Kuan lineage, Ho Ming's task was to ensure the 13th Peak Master's safety. For that, he would even sacrifice his own life. This was an instinct rooted deep within Ho Ming's soul. He was a 6th rank evolver secretly trained by the Red Kuan lineage. Naturally, there would be no issues with his loyalty. What is this? As Ho Ming was patrolling, Suddenly, a faint fluctuation reached him. Ho Ming swiftly turned around, looking towards the main building behind him. If not for this faint fluctuation which carried Lin Yuan's aura, Ho Ming might have instinctively attacked at this moment. For this weak fluctuation had already reached the 5th rank. It's the peak master. Ho Ming's pupils slightly constricted. He found it hard to believe. He remembered that not long ago, Lin Yuan's strength was still at the 4th rank level 11, and now he had already stepped into the 5th rank. How is this possible? Worthy of being the disciple of a Star Lord, Ho Ming sighed, feeling that the Qikuan Star Lord had indeed spotted a true gem. I must ensure the peak master's safety. After his moment of reflection, Ho Ming's spirit rose once again. After becoming Lin Yuan's captain of the guards, Ho Ming's loyalty was solely to Lin Yuan. Even the Qikuan Star Lord could no longer command him. I've finally recovered. Lin Yuan sat cross-legged, a smile appearing on his face. This recovery of strength was unprecedentedly smooth compared to the previous 3 times. It was worth exposing some of my talents to become the 13th peak master of the Red Kuan lineage, Lin Yuan thought to himself. If he didn't have the identity of the 13th peak master, he would probably still be worrying about which cosmic rare treasures to choose to buy. Moreover, many of the evolution paths also needed to be purchased. There's still 1/10 left. Lin Yuan glanced at the scarlet spirit liquid in front of him. He then put it away, to save it for next time. 5th rank level 12. I can now organize the 5th stage section of the martial path evolutionary path. Lin Yuan sat cross-legged, contemplating internally. Now that Lin Yuan had almost completed the 5th rank stage, the next step was figuring out how to step into the 6th rank. 5th stage section, Lin Yuan's Thoughts World. The 2nd layer chapter of the martial path evolutionary path involved the fusion of 2 extreme powers of yin and yang, known as the Taiji Dao. The 3rd layer chapter was an understanding of numerous rules. The 4th rank chapter involved further understanding of these rules, perfecting the Taiji Dao. As for the 5th stage section, it was the primordial spirit, the Taiyin primordial spirit, Taiyang divine spirit, and their union, the Taiji primordial spirit. Of course, to reduce the difficulty of the martial Dao cultivation pathway, Lin Yuan divided the primordial spirit of the 5th stage section into 3 levels. The Taiyin primordial spirit, Taiyang divine spirit, and the final Taiji primordial spirit. The evolvers after need not cultivate into a Taiji primordial spirit. They only need to cultivate either a Taiyang divine spirit or a Taiyin primordial spirit. This is quite similar to the yin-yang realm of the 2nd layer chapter. In the Dragon Tiger world, all the heavenly masters cultivate either the Taiyin pole extreme or the Taiyang pole extreme. As for the Taiji, which unifies yin and yang, only Lin Yuan has managed to cultivate it. Thus, in the martial path evolutionary path's 3rd rank chapter, Lin Yuan also divided it into 3 layers. Taiyin chapter, Taiyang chapter, and the Taiji chapter. These 3 tiers are laid out side by side, allowing the cultivator to choose based on their own talent. In the martial Tao cultivation system, after the 5th rank, the primordial spirit can leave the physical body to act on its own, much like the special talent Avatar. Suddenly, Lin Yuan thought to himself. The talent Avatar is a method possessed by a few unique races deep in the cosmic starry skies. It can separate out a body, akin to an external incarnation. After Lin Yuan reached the 5th rank, his condensed primordial spirit was similar to an avatar. Although it lacked flesh and blood, the power it demonstrated with just the force of the primordial spirit wasn't much weaker than his physical body. In some aspects, it was even stronger. For example, speed. Without the constraints of a physical body, the speed of the primordial spirit was inconceivably swift. And size. The primordial spirit is a concentration of soul force. Theoretically, it could be infinitely large. With Lin Yuan's current strength of his primordial spirit, if he exerted his full power, he could transform into a giant of 1,000,000 feet. I have more than one primordial spirit. Both Yin spirit and Yang spirit can act independently, akin to having 2 avatars. Lin Yuan secretly thought to himself. If an avatar with the talent Avatar perishes, Regenerating it would require a significant sacrifice. Even some talents, avatar would be lost forever once dead. But Lin Yuan's primordial spirits, as long as the physical body, yin spirit, and yang spirit don't all perish at the same time, they could quickly evolve into the other two. The Tao of Taiji, where yin and yang blend, the extreme of yin turns to yang and the extreme of yang turns to yin, yin and yang can naturally convert into each other. Even if the yang spirit is destroyed, as long as the yin spirit still exists, it could quickly split off a yang spirit. A few days later, Lin Yuan had almost finished organizing the 5th stage section. Goddess of Wisdom. Lin Yuan connected to the Goddess of Wisdom, planning to upload the 5th stage section. Having realized the importance of spreading the teachings, Lin Yuan naturally would not keep them to himself. Besides, given the difficulty of practicing the 5th stage section, other evolvers, no matter how talented, could at most cultivate either a yin spirit or a yang spirit. As for a Taiji primordial spirit like Lin Yuan's, even if it were cultivated, it would be only after thousands or tens of thousands of years. Moreover, through traveling across the 5 regions world, Lin Yuan faintly realized, as long as he, a founder, was still alive, other cultivators on the martial path evolutionary path were naturally suppressed by him. Just like Xiahou Yuan's suppression over the demonic Tao in the world. Of course, initially, Lin Yuan's suppression of other martial arts evolutionaries was not apparent. But as his power increased, this suppression would gradually intensify. Virtual world. Within a vast palace, the elder clad in a crimson robe suddenly opened his eyes. At this moment, his eyes burned like constant stars, yet no longer radiated light and heat. Obviously he had barely managed control. Finally, I've mastered this secret technique. The Qikuan Star Lord closed his eyes and upon reopening them, the star pupils had vanished. To cultivate this secret technique, the Qikuan Star Lord had paid a great price, having acquired dozens of star cores, and at last refined them within his eyes. My dear disciple must be getting impatient. Just after mastering the secret technique, Qikuan Star Lord thought of his newly accepted 13th disciple. He couldn't help it. During the secret technique cultivation period, most of his focus was concentrated in his eyes, utterly unable to suppress the power of the star cores, so after hastily accepting Lin Yuan, he resumed his closed-door cultivation. Dear disciple, come and see me. Qikuan Star Lord connected his consciousness to the virtual world, confirmed that Lin Yuan was not in seclusion but was online, and promptly sent an invitation. Kanglan Star, Central Continent Manor. Lin Yuan had just finished uploading the Martial Path Evolutionary Paths, 5th stage section. Then he received a request from the Qikuan Star Lord. Dear disciple, come and see me. The voice message from Qikuan Star Lord echoed in his ears. The teacher has emerged from seclusion. Lin Yuan immediately stood up, his consciousness also connected to the virtual world, arriving at a vast palace. Everything here was fiery red. Greeting, teacher. Lin Yuan bowed lightly towards the Qikuan Star Lord seated on the high throne. Yes, get up. The Qikuan Star Lord scrutinized Lin Yuan closely. Suddenly, his expression slightly changed. Although Lin Yuan had not synced his power in the virtual world, which is to say, Lin Yuan's physical soul was still at the peak of the 4th rank, but with the eyesight of the Qikuan Star Lord, after a few more glances, he subtly sensed that Lin Yuan's mental power had surpassed the 4th rank. Dear disciple, have you reached the 5th rank? After a moment of silence, the Qikuan Star Lord could not help but ask. You're tuning in to the Wandering Hero YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.